Coast 600 is a premier event for Australia's V8 Supercar Series. In each of the 28 cars, a series regular is paired with an international driving star. This weekend, one of those stars was to have been Dan Wheldon. Yesterday, led by the 3 IndyCar stars that have come to Australia to race this weekend, all 56 drivers and series officials gathered to pay tribute to Dan's memory and to unveil the Dan Wheldon Trophy, a permanent award that will be presented to the winning international guest driver at the conclusion of today's event.
For more than 2 decades, this famous stretch of beach on Queensland's Gold Coast has been the venue for Australia's most electrifying motorsport event. Are you ready for the glitz? Are you ready for the glamour? Are you ready for some great racing action?
They made contact! Whincup has fought off an extraordinary battle in a race to remember.
For the second consecutive year, drivers from all over the globe join the V8 Superstars on the streets of Surfers Paradise. This stunning circuit is one of the toughest tracks in the world and will be a fitting finale to this year's season of endurance. It comes on the heels of the Bathurst 1000, the first ever live V8 supercar race seen in America. A thrilling 6.5-hour contest at Mount Panorama, which featured the closest finish in the history of the great race. Now, it's time to get ready for the Armor All Gold Coast 600. The V8 supercars, right now, live on Speed.
It is a beautiful day on the coast of Australia. The temperature climbs to near 80 degrees, a great day for the beach or to be at a race course right near the beach. Welcome to Speed's live presentation of the Armor All Gold Coast 600 from Surfers Paradise, the Gold Coast of Australia, where it's such a great day, and we're ready to go. Hi, everybody. Mike Joy, Darrell Waltrip, cars in pit lane right behind us. Lee Diffie, Calvin Fish patrolling the pits. It's 1 p.m. in the afternoon here. We know it's not quite that where you're watching us back in the United States, but we're thrilled to be here for the second race in a row and have the opportunity to once again, after Bathurst, to bring this to you live. What a difference.
Oh, really? And I feel like I'm at home. We got everything here we have at home. We got rivalry among teammates trying to win a championship. We got the manufacturers battle between Ford and Chevrolet, and we got a really, really difficult racetrack for it to all play out on. It's going to be an exciting race, I promise.
We are halfway around the world from our United States. Things are so similar here and yet so different. The language is the same. The money's in dollars. The change is different, the nomenclature. And we're well northeast of Bathurst, where we were 2 weeks ago on the Gold Coast of Eastern Australia, right adjacent the Coral Sea. Now this race will be very different. That was a 600-kilometer endurance, 1,000-kilometer, 600-mile endurance test. This is a 2-heat race. Yesterday, they ran 300 kilometers today. Same drivers, same co-drivers, different qualifying session, maybe the same strategy, maybe very different.
Yeah, it looks like everybody's going to play the same strategy. The co-driver will start. There is some really, really great combination drivers. The guys that won yesterday, Jamie Whincup and Sebastian Bourdais, they look like they kind of got a handle on this thing, but there are some other really potent combinations that we'll keep an eye on all day long.
The remembrances of Dan Wheldon are present all up and down the pit lane, on the race cars, in the grandstands, and the infield here. Very fitting, and yet very poignant. And yet from the IndyCar series, there are 5 drivers here who do have some significant IndyCar experience, including the 3 current stars, and we'll delve into that as we go through the day. But the international driver lineup that is here, I mean, there are stars here, and for the first time, there's even a current Formula One driver in the field.
Oh yeah, Mika Salo's in the field, and there's a lot of great drivers. Ryan Briscoe is here, and he and Garth Tander are really potent combination. That could be a real challenge to win Cup today. So the combinations are impressive. And the international drivers yesterday, I think a lot of guys thought maybe they wouldn't be comfortable in these cars. But let me tell you, other than the standing start, once this race started, they put on a show.
So we have experience ranging from Formula One to IndyCar to endurance racing to NASCAR. Boris Said is here as well. Let's go a little further up pit road and meet our speed colleagues, Lee Diffie, who's home to call this race, and Calvin Fish.
Yes, thanks, Mike. This is where I was born and raised, so welcome to my part of the world. Great to have you and DW here, and my good mate Cal as well. We look forward to this event for a variety of reasons, and Cal, this is a multi-million-dollar motorsport promotion, not only here for V8 Supercars, but globally. Great to have all of the internationals here, but on the serious side, this is race 22 of a 28-race championship, and while these internationals might be here for a bit of fun and a little bit of a vacation, there's huge responsibility on their shoulders not to mess up or, hinder their co-drivers' championship chances.
Absolutely, Lee. I mean, this is a great place to come and relax at the end of a long championship season, but there's a lot on the line for these championship teams. So for the international drivers, they got here early in the week, some of them severely jet-lagged, but their eyes were wide open when they got behind the wheel of one of these V8 Supercars for the first time at a test on Wednesday. Since that time, they've been pouring daiquiris by the pole. They've been pouring over data, trying to figure out what makes one of these cars tick. They did an awesome job here yesterday. 6 cars in the top 10 from the non-regular guys. Awesome stuff.
Race 1 yesterday. It was a tough one for Triple Eight, the new championship leader, Craig Lowndes. Electrical problems plagued him in qualifying. They returned in the race. How about the start? The standing start. Mark Lieb got it all wrong, and that caused a little bit of chaos mid-pack. Speaking of chaos, Dirk Muller for Jim Beam Racing in the 17 was confused as to which side of the car he was on. Dramas for Ryan Briscoe. They brought him in 1 lap too early, and that was costly.
Lowndes' car returned to the action. It was quick, but had a second problem. Ultimately retired. Moffat was sensational, taking the lead in the race, led many laps, then he had to pit for tyres. Whincup then took the lead. Frosty then around more for third. That was a great run to get on the podium, but ultimately Whincup wins when he needed it most after relinquishing the championship lead after Bathurst.
Speaking of championship, there has been a massive swing within that Team Vodafone garage. 150 points is the swing. Yes, Jamie Whincup back up on top because Craig Lowndes earned no points yesterday. We'll talk more about that in the show. The only other positional change in the top 10, Mike, was Lee Holdsworth for Gary Rogers Motorsport. He came up into the top 10 with a 10th place finish yesterday.
Thanks, Lee. How do you find the secrets of success at Surfers Paradise? You sit down with 2 of the stars, Garth Tander and IndyCar star Ryan Briscoe. Visit with Darrell next. Welcome back to Gold Coast. I just saw those black helicopters Darrell's always talking about.
They follow me everywhere.
Three-race pageantry continues. Bathurst winner Garth Tander has won 7 times at the Gold Coast since 2001, the most successful V8 regular competing today, and he co-drives with Team Penske's Ryan Briscoe, the 2008 IndyCar winner here.
All right, you two guys, I believe, based on your history, y'all are the team to beat. I believe y'all are the dream team this weekend. What do you say?
Hey, I'll go.
Okay,
we'll take that. Yeah.
What's what's a good strategy for this race this weekend? What do you got to do here to win this race?
Oh, really, it's look after the car for the first, probably the first half of the event, because it's easy with the curves and the tyre bundles and the chicanes to knock the front splitter off, to knock the guards off it, and with the brakes being so critical here, you've got to look after the brakes for the first half of the race. So when you get to the end and it's time to get racy, you've got some car left to go racing. So it's a bit like some of the Cup road course stuff where they sort of look after the car for the first, probably the first half of the race, and then it's time to get going.
You're probably going to see strategy-wise most of the international drivers starting so that we can hand off to the pros to finish it and bring it home.
Oh, not pros, regulars.
He's a pro.
I like that. It would seem to me, if I was looking for a co-driver, I'd want him to be left-handed. Wouldn't that be an advantage?
Actually, yeah, I didn't think of it. Are you left-handed or
I am.
You are? Yeah, there you go.
Good choice, good choice.
That's why I picked him.
Go left-handed. He was talking about the start. Now, the best I can remember, you don't do many starts standing still like this. What do you think?
It's been a while. It'll be interesting. I think you're going to see, a lot of the grid is, US-based drivers as well, and we're not used to doing standing starts, so eyes open for cars that might be stalling or bogging.
The only thing I'll tell you is, whatever you do, don't stall the engine. Whatever you do.
That's going to be the number one. It's like throwing the first pitch at a baseball game. Don't bounce it, right?
And you two guys, how about driver swap? Have you got that down pretty good? 13 seconds?
Yeah, I think we were 13s or something like that. So you can tell we're about the right height for each other. We're pretty similar.
Someone has to compromise here. I'm not sure who.
Yeah, we both are. So we moved the pedals back for Ryan and moved the steering wheel down a bit. So I'm a little bit more squashed than I normally would be, but I still do everything I need to do. And Ryan's probably a bit more stretched out than he needs to be, but he's got a small seat insert and it works, so we're good.
No, yeah, I think y'all got a really good shot at this thing, and then you've become a great. I was so impressed with your drive at Bathurst. Good luck.
Thanks.
Good luck.
Cheers. Cheers, buddy.
All right, there's Darrell's pick for today. Let's go down to the other end of the garage and to another leading Holden team. First to lead.
Mike, recently Jamie Whincup, now the championship leader, told me after Bathurst when he had those car problems, he found it hard to get out of bed the next day. He was so devastated. You're all smiles now though, mate. That was a tremendous day yesterday for you and Sebastian Bourdais.
It's amazing how quickly it turns around in this motorsport game, but we're on track here this weekend. No more, no less. Car's handling really, really well. We had a fantastic day yesterday and pole position for this morning, so couldn't be happier.
They look so strong, Cal.
Certainly do. Here with a Vodafone teammate Craig Lance. Craig, you got the championship lead after a brilliant run at Bathurst, but yesterday it all went wrong. Talk us through it.
Yeah, look, it's one of those things that you have the highs and lows of motor racing, and I think we've sort of experienced both of them in a couple of weeks. It's the car had an electrical problem throughout qualifying, which we thought we'd fix. We put Andy in to start the race. He drove it out of pit exit, and of course it shut down on him. It restarted, it shut down. He got it back into pit lane, thankfully, but of course the boys went to town and tried to replace as many electrical problems or electrical parts of the car as they could, but unfortunately we couldn't find the bug. So overnight we've basically laid the whole loom, we've changed every electronical part in the car, and this morning's qualifying it was really good.
All right, mate, best of luck.
Cheers, thank you.
These guys are going to be certainly very strong for the win again, Mike.
Well, they'll certainly want to rebound. Lowndes looking to retake the point lead here. The V8 supercars, they're not cousins to our NASCAR Sprint Cup cars, but there certainly are similarities. They're large-scale, home-produced touring cars, what they call them here. They're four doors, not two cars. There's only two manufacturers involved, Ford and Holden, which is General Motors. They're right-hand drive. They have door handles, they have mirrors, they look just like the cars on the street. And
talking to the drivers, they're pretty difficult to drive. They're not necessarily driver friendly. They've got a 6-speed sequential gearbox, but they're a handful, particularly on a course like this.
Smaller engines, they weigh a little bit less than our Cup cars, have a little less power, and 2 extra gears and a narrower tire. Makes for an interesting combination on a street circuit such as this. Want to go for a walk down the starting grid? We'll do just that for you live on Speed right after this.
Gold Coast 600 is underway. This will be one
Welcome back to the Gold Coast, where the cars are pulling out on their sighting lap. They'll take a sighting lap, come into position on the front straightaway, take a recon lap, and get ready to race. Yesterday, in the opening 34 laps or so, Sébastien Bourdais put on a tremendous demonstration. Yes, he was out front, but I think he showed everyone why he is one of the premier street course drivers of his generation.
My name is Sébastien Bourdais. I'm a factory Peugeot driver and also drive in the IZOD IndyCar Series. This weekend, I'm teaming up with Jamie Whincup from Team Vodafone. Well, obviously being in Jamie's car is quite a challenge. It's quite a responsibility. You know, the pressure is on, that there's no denying it. And Dee and I are just kind of stepping in the game and spicing things up. What we have to do as international drivers is just make sure we don't make a big mistake. A lot of very, very good memories. The one place, obviously, where I think I finished 2 or 3 championships. You know, it's very special. But the V8 supercars are very, very unique, being kind of heavy, kind of not much downforce at all, but a lot of power. It is a very unforgiving racetrack. It is a very challenging one, and there's no resting time, particularly now on the shorter track. It's definitely quite a challenge. You need to stay focused at all times, and it's not particularly easy. It's not just a racetrack. It's people coming to have fun and see great things.
Darrell, as a guest driver, he pretty much went out there and put on a clinic.
He was worried about the start, like so many of the international drivers was, but he did it. He nailed it, and he got the lead, and he did exactly what Garth Tander told me that he wanted his co-driver to do: hand the car over in good shape, without any damage, and then let the driver take it home from there.
Yeah, Bourdais never put a wheel wrong, and they went on and won yesterday's race. But today is a different day, a different starting grid, and 300 kilometers of chasing your way around this very, very narrow street circuit. Now, it looks like a couple of cars will start from pit lane and forego the sighting and the reconnaissance lap, saving a couple of laps of fuel. I believe Helio Castroneves is one of those two. So he and Slade have an interesting strategy with which to start this race. So we'll be back as we get closer to the start of the Armor All Gold Coast 600. Glad to have you watching us live tonight on Speed.
It's time to get ready for the Armor All Gold Coast 600. The V8 Supercars, right now, live on Speed.
Welcome back to the Gold Coast. Let's get right down to where you want to be. Right down in a moment, we're going right down in front of us, down to the grid. The cars have come back from the sighting lap. So welcome back to Speed's live coverage of the Armor All Gold Coast 600. Beautiful, beautiful day here. 74 degrees is the temperature, bright sun, hardly a cloud in the sky, and over where the chicane all but encroaches on the beachfront, that might be where you'd want to be. I'd rather be down on the grid with Leigh Diffey.
Well, Mike, we and the motorsport world are still reeling from the tragic loss of Dan Wheldon, and this decal, this sticker here on Alex Tagliani's car says it, just how close they were. Dan Wheldon, my little brother from another mother. Tags, it's been a very emotional, it's been a very difficult week. Has it helped you getting through this trauma, being here and racing?
When you're in the car, I mean, it's the moment you have your quiet time for yourself. But I'm really happy we're here because down there in the U.S., Graham, Max, Dario, TK are raising a lot of money by auctioning items. And I think this movement that we have been doing here in Australia has been helping getting everyone aware of what's happening, and all the money is going to go to help Dan's family for the future.
Our thoughts are with Susie and the kids, you and all of the IndyCar community. Go and do this one for you, mate.
Thanks, buddy.
Well, Lee, everyone's had a very heavy heart here this week with the tragic events of last weekend, and Dan Wheldon should have been here racing this #1 machine. But we've drafted in Brett, Darren Turner, and Darren, I know it's been a hard week for everyone, but I can't imagine what it's been like for you, mate. How's it been here coming to race day?
Obviously, it's really heavy-hearted. You know, you don't want to be here racing in someone else's place, and you know, the best thing we can do is go out and give a good race and hopefully make Dan proud. So you know, that's what I've tried to do in race 1, and hopefully do the same again in race 2.
Well, certainly everyone who knew Dan Wheldon knowing he was a terrific guy, a great racer, and I think Darren Turner has the same characteristics. I'm sure he'll do a great job today and really pay tribute to the Wheldon family. Lee?
Cal, a little further up the grid, it's the American-based Frenchman, Simon Pagenaud, driving for Gary Rogers' team. You've driven here before in a Champ Car, but what was it like for your first time in a V8 supercar, and you got a top 10 result?
Yeah, I mean, it's fantastic. We got a top 10. My teammate Lee Holdsworth did a fantastic job, and I really enjoyed it. I mean, those cars, they're real beasts, you know. And if we wanted to, it would be a drifting contest out there. I mean, there's so much power in those cars. It's completely different to what I'm used to, but very enjoyable. And I mean, you really need to be tiptoes out there and take care of your tires, and also bang doors with the others.
You say this is different to what you're used to, but you've driven 10 different types of race car this year, from your Peugeot 908 to an Acura prototype to an Indy car, so many different cars. Where do you rate these things?
Well, it's completely different. It's hard to rate it compared to an Indy car or a sports car. You know, it's another planet. I'm learning everything in once, and you know, it's just another kind of racing, a very tough racing, it's very high level. I mean, those guys like Whincup and all those guys, they're like top level racing, you know, but it's just a different racecraft, and just takes a little bit of time to learn it.
You got a really good start yesterday, but you got balked by Mark Lieb. Get another good one today and enjoy it.
Thank you, I will.
Well, Lee, another one, the international drivers. They had a great one here yesterday. It was ex-Ferrari guy, Mika Sala. Mika, you had a great one here yesterday, finishing second, and you're starting at the sharp end again today. I know you love it here in Australia.
It is great. It's really good. Today is really hot also. It's going to be hard work today.
Talk about the, we saw the start yesterday. A few of the international guys struggle a bit with that standing start. You're a little bit further back today. Any concerns?
No, just one spot further back. So Ryan had a really bad start in front of me yesterday, and I got him easily. So I hope he does it again and I get around him. So that's the key for the whole race for us.
All right, mate, have some fun.
Thank you.
Lee?
Cal, Ollie, Gavin and Greg Murphy made up 12 positions during yesterday's race. You're used to running marathons in sub 3 hours, having a high heart rate. What was it like yesterday?
Well, the heart rate was certainly up. I was having huge fun out there. I mean, this Holden's been fantastic, and Greg here's been giving me all the hints and tips. I mean, Bathurst winner, put it on pole just a couple of weeks ago, and so yeah, it's been a huge amount of fun. I'm enjoying it. It's hard racing, but you know, actually yesterday there was a bit of bumping and banging, but it was pretty fair.
Murph, did he do well?
The rate card will come out after this race. Yesterday was all right. It was all right. You know, he kept it clean, and no, it was sensational. We're getting together and gelling well, really well, and Ollie's superb yesterday. Can't fault it.
These guys are proof that you can move through the field. Cal?
Here with Joey Hand. Joey, you've had an amazing season, winning the 24-hour Daytona, going on to clinch the ALMS GT Championship. But here, V8 Supercars for the first time. Top finishing rookie yesterday. You had to have fun.
Oh, yeah, it's been a blast. This whole Dick Johnson Racing team's been great to me. They've welcomed me like I was here before, you know, and so that makes it a lot easier for me. You know, it made me comfy right from the get-go. They let me tune on the race car a little bit, make it more comfy for me, and James Moffitt did a great job yesterday, and you know, I'm just going to try and do the same thing. Keep the mirrors on is what they asked me to do. Keep the car going straight, hand over to the Moff, and let him wheel this thing home. Maybe we'll get a surfboard.
It's been a dream season, mate. Best of luck today.
Thanks a lot.
Lee?
Cal, if you've got a car, Big Bad Boris said will drive it. He's back in V8 Supercars, and you're right up the front of the grid, Boris. Looking forward to today?
Oh, yeah. I mean, my teammate Steve Owen's been fast all weekend, so hopefully I can keep this VIP Pet Foods car somewhere up near the front and keep it off the walls. So hopefully I'll have a good day like we did yesterday.
Well, DW and Mike Joy are real excited to see you here on the streets of Surfers Paradise, Mike. He's going to put on a show.
Thanks, Lee. I love the way these drivers talk about keeping the mirrors on it.
That's it.
Now, our cars don't have exposed mirrors, but here, these cars look so much like the actual passenger cars that they replicate door handles, mirrors, things like that.
That's how close you get to these walls, though. The mirrors stick out just far enough. If you knock the mirror off, you know you're going to have a problem. But I like what Pagenaud said. I feel like I'm on a different planet. I know how you feel, dude. It's a long way from home for all of us.
And you heard about the bollards. We will see those. They are the orange cone or the pylons that line the chicanes. And this series has a very interesting way of letting the teams know if their driver has encroached too far in the chicane. And you may end up with a drive-through penalty, but it is not subjective in the slightest. It's interesting.
Curb hopping.
Well, that too.
That's what they do.
That'll be interesting to be sure in the two major chicanes along this street circuit. Time to go trackside for opening ceremonies.
Ladies and gentlemen, would you please stand for the prayer and for the national anthem? Gracious God and Father, we have paused to give respect to Dan Weldon following his tragic death this past week. We pray for his wife and children and wider family that they will know the comfort and courage that is needed. We also ask for all our IndyCar friends that they will find the strength to cope with the loss. We're thankful for the privilege to enjoy this race and the mix of drivers and to appreciate the value of life and the depth of friendships. This week we have found who to help, how to see past ourselves and to depend on you. We want to ask that in your grace and mercy be pleased to move amongst us today in protection and wisdom. And for our race today we pray for all those in the control tower, the fireys, the officials in pit lane, the teams and all our drivers, for quick reactions and sharp minds and freedom from harm. And for us getting home, help us to be smart and sober and patient. And we ask this in the name of Jesus. Amen.
Australians, oh, let us rejoice, for we are young and free. We've gold and wealth for toil, our home is girt by sea. Our land abounds in riches of beauty rich and rare. In history's page, let every stage advance Australia fair. In joyful strains then let us sing, advance Australia fair.
Today's race, 300 kilometers in length. It'll encompass 102 laps. That's about 187.9 miles. The fuel window, 43 to 46 laps. However, you run out of tires. They're on the soft dunlop tire in about 25 laps. And with the international co-driver rule, each driver must complete a minimum of 34 laps. That's 1/3 the race distance.
Mike's very difficult racetracks. 15 turns, 11 lefts, 4 rights. You snake your way around this place. It's not like Bathurst where we had those elevation changes. You have no hell corner here. You have no dipper. You have no elbow. Here you just have walls, and you've got to be so precise. You're 170 mile an hour down the front straightaway here. Get out of the chicane down there, start down the back 156. The east end of the racetrack, turns 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15. Very, very difficult turns, very tight.
Well, you may have no elbow, but you are elbows up all the way around this circuit. Frosty Winterbottom takes us for a ride in his Ford.
Big g'day here from Frosty down under on the Gold Coast, and welcome aboard car number 5, the Orcon Steel FPR Falcon. Now we're going to start a lap of the Gold Coast. You can see a lot of concrete, very, very tough track. We're going to pull through the gears, 3rd gear, 4th gear, 5th, up to 6th, 270 kilometres an hour into turn 1, very, very fast. 200 metres, there's the brake marker, back to 3rd gear. A little bit hard for the Americans, they're used to yards. Up against the wall on the exit, a lot of curb. Bang the gears back through, very, very aggressive. Back to 1st gear, a little bit of curb, up against the exit wall again. Hopefully not folding that mirror in. You just want to be very, very precise. Back through the gearbox, another very fast part of the circuit, 250 kilometres an hour. Back to 3rd gear, every bit of chicane. Try not to hit the bollards, you get a penalty if you do that. Exit wall again, try not to hit that mirror, that's your gauge there. Back to 2nd gear, blind corner. Look at the sun, that is very, very tough. Dirty windscreen and late afternoon, very, very tough to see. Another set of blind corners, 2nd gear. Try and use the curb on the inside, not too much. Exit wall again, hopefully not touching that mirror, that's our gauge. Last corner, back to 1st gear. This corner has been the toughest for the Americans in the International so far. We've seen quite a few in there and it's very, very tough. Back onto the main straight, hopefully you've done a very good lap and that will get you pole position, but I'm not sure, Darrell, how you would compare that to your lap at Bathurst.
I compare it very favorably since I'm not in there with him.
Great driver, not so much of a rider.
No, I love to drive. I hate to ride. I found that out.
But you did drive around here in the course car yesterday.
I did, and guess who went with me? Boris Sid. He instructed me for 2 fast laps.
How'd that work out?
He said I had a lot to learn.
The chicanes look to be a very daunting part of this course.
Well, they are, and what I noticed when I made my lap around here last night was because the cars have been running over them so much, they're very hard to know, hard to kind of recognize where they are. You know they're there, but you get on them and those things will shoot you right into the wall if you don't catch the car, and that's what you do here, a lot of pitching and catching.
That's a good way to put it. Well, we've learned that all the international visitor or guest drivers will be starting the cars, and the regular V8 supercar drivers will pick up from there. Getting ready for the formation lap. Green flag is waved for that. So the cars start out on their final reconnaissance lap before our 300-kilometer race begins with a standing start. Whincup and Bourdais. Bourdais will start the car. The second listed driver is the guest driver like Briscoe, so he will start for Team Toll Holden. Row 2, Richard Lyons in Winterbottom Sport, and Mika Salo, you heard from him a bit ago, for Will Davison. Both Fords on row 2. Craig Lowndes and Andy Prio will roll off from the 3rd row after such a disappointment yesterday, and Boris Said for Steve Owen from the 6th spot. 7th, Ollie Gavin with Simon Pagenaud on row number 4. 28 starters. 5th row, Joey Hand, highest placed of the guest drivers who've never been here before, and he really helped James Moffat with car setup. What a charge they made. Tagliani shares the 5th row with him. Augusto Farfus with Michael Caruso 11th. Mark Lieb with Davison in 12th. Christian Kleen teamed with Paul Dumbrell. This is his Dumbrell's swan song season in the series. Jörg Burmeister with Rick Kelly. Patrick Long, Porsche driver with Fabian Coulthard, and Jan Magnussen with Russell Ingall, who carried number 200 at Bathurst. His regular number 39 is on the car today. Richard Westbrook will pair up with Todd Kelly, 17th. Emanuele Pirro had a great first stint yesterday with Van Gisbergen. Gilles de Ferran, past IndyCar star with Jonathan Webb, and Tonio Liuzzi, current Formula One driver, paired with D'Alberto in the number 3. Dirk Mueller is with Steven Johnson. Steven never got a chance in the car. Mueller got into the wall yesterday. Elio Castroneves paired with Tim Slade. Darren Turner will drive with defending series champion James Courtney. Alan Simonson pairs up with Jason Bargwanna. Stefan Sarrazin with Jason Brighton, 25th. Gianni Morbidelli with Dean Fiore in the number 12. And Marino Franchitti, Dario's brother, with Warren Luff. Fabrizio Giovanardi with Carl Reindler will start 28th in this, the 22nd race of the V8 Supercar season.
Mike, I love all the pre-race pomp and circumstance they do. It really is exciting the way they have the pre-race show and all that goes on this morning before we get to the real race.
Cars are in position. Yellow flags from the marshals all down the grid are down. That means they are ready to put the red lights up on the board that the drivers will see. And when the red goes out, the race begins. Red lights up.
Boogity, 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 let's go racing, mates.
And the outside pole car gets off slowly and loses 4, 5, maybe 6 spots before turn number 1.
Boy, that's not a great start, obviously. This is so tight right here, man. You got to really watch your P's and Q's. You see that car going in there. You can't go through there too wide. Got to get single file. Otherwise, you're going to blow the chicane.
Vodafone cars 1, 2. Really takes a while for things to sort out here.
Yeah, they have to get almost single file in a pretty quick order because the track is so tight and these turns, you just can't run in there with somebody.
155 into that chicane. Oh, went around. The Bottle car's around. Heavy contact.
A lot of damage.
Everybody scatters. Christian Clean has spun, and as we saw in the Ute race earlier today, the front end just pretty well torn off that car. And they told him to shut it down, so that'll be a tow in and a safety car period on lap 1. Watch the green and white Bottle car.
He just tries to get in on the outside there. Not enough room. And contact, and then he got hit in the nose by one of the other cars and ripped the nose right off that thing, and I'm sure it busted the radiator and everything else.
I believe it was Jan Magnussen driving, co-driving with Russell Ingall in the 39 that turned him around. Well, that didn't take long. You see how narrow this circuit is and how calamitous it can be very early here. Anger tomorrow, 11 Eastern, live on Speed.
Mike, that overhead, you can just see how that's almost like a snake going through there. It's very difficult to get through there with somebody beside you. It's almost impossible.
We'll see contact. There's Clean after being turned around by the 39. Right there.
Turned around right there.
Hard
into the wall on the outside, and it looks like one of the rock stone.
Oh, yeah, it's one of the Toll Holdens.
Yeah, took the nose right off of it.
I'm not sure if that was Darren Turner. I believe it would have been Turner. Or was it Briscoe? Lee.
Mike, speaking of Ryan Briscoe, to add insult to injury for that poor start, he now has no radio communication with the team. They're going to start signboarding him as soon as they can.
Man, I tell you what, that's a tough thing right there. I used to do that back when I first started, and you try to look over in the pits and look for a signboard. That's a challenge.
And remember, he had that bad start, which got him back there in the midst of all that trouble. Cal?
Down here with his teammate Paul Dumbrell. And Paul, the rough and tumble of the surface racetrack has claimed your car today. What did you see?
Yeah, it was pretty obvious, really. We had a rule in the driver's briefing that the fast chicane down there, it's not a corner where you can go side by side. So the rule was whoever got to the 100-metre mark, you actually had to be in front of the car, and the other car had to yield. I think everyone saw the replay. Getting into the right rear quarter isn't sort of line by line. So disappointing for Christian. He's done a sensational job all weekend, and tough for all the guys on the team. They had a double podium yesterday on the other side of the garage, and we're hoping to make a 1, 2, 3. But we've got 102 laps to go, and we'll see how they go later today.
Right, tough to see Paul out, but the FPR cars have been very strong here, Mike.
Well, absolutely, especially in that this is likely to be his final race at Surfers Paradise. Dumbrell's going to retire from supercar racing the end of this season. Clean getting turned around by Jan Magnussen.
Now you try to read that pit board going by the pit straight here at about 170 miles an hour and shifting gears and kind of focusing on where you're supposed to be going. It's going to be very hard.
Well, they're trying to spell radio. And obviously they don't use the pit boards very often. A little bit of makeshift work here by the Toll Holden team. Alan Simonson in and out of the pits for Jason Bargwanna. and several pit stops under this full course caution, what they call safety car period here in Australia. Lee?
Mike here with Greg Murphy, and Murphy, your teammate Ollie Gavin's made another dynamic start. This is already looking a lot better than yesterday.
Well, you know, it's so much easier being a bit closer to the front. So, you know, he's gained a couple of spots, one off the line and then past, I think, Boris. So, looking pretty good at this stage, but obviously a big shunt there, which was disappointing to see. So he's luckily, when you start from the front, you hopefully avoid that stuff, and he has.
The comments from Calvin, Mike Joy, DW, they were very surprised at how narrow and how tight this track is. So when you're buried in the pack, just tell our viewers how difficult that is at this particular track.
Yeah, no, it is. I mean, we are very limited on our passing opportunities, you know, and there's a lot of chicanes here to try and slow the cars down. It is narrow, but I mean, they used to race champ cars on it, can you believe that? So, you know, it is a great racetrack, though. You've got to understand, I love this place. It's fantastically nice and close to the concrete.
All right, we're about to go back to racing. Have a great day. Thanks.
Green flag this time by in race 22 of the Australian V8 Supercar season. They are coming to America in 2013 to Austin, Texas in the springtime.
Mike, they make it very clear to the drivers in their drivers meeting about contact, intentional contact, avoidable contact. They have some pretty strict rules. And as you heard, going into that first turn down there, that chicane, you were supposed to yield at the 100-foot mark, and they didn't do it.
Back under green, we have not completed a green lap yet. We're working lap number 5. And as yesterday, Sebastian Bourdais is out in front of the field. But this time, his teammate, Andy Priaulx, World Touring Car champ, didn't get to run a lot of fast laps because yesterday, once the electrical problems were temporarily fixed, they told him keep the car out of trouble, don't initiate any contact. So basically, he cruised around until the car finally gave up the ghost, well short of the required distance needed to get championship points. But here they are today, the Vodafone cars 1-2.
Yeah, and that car has a fresh engine in it because one of those poles that marks the chicanes flew up out of the track and went into the radiator of the car, and it actually burned the engine up. So it has a fresh engine in that car today.
Well, as we looked at the accident on lap number 1, well, I'll call it an accident, but Jan Magnussen, you heard what Paul Dumbrell said about the caution the drivers were given in the driver's briefing. And that means that Magnussen is being penalized with a drive-through penalty for aggressive driving.
I really like that, Mike, because it's a disciplinary thing, and you got to keep control of the drivers, as we all know, particularly on these road courses. They lay down some strict rules, and they adhere to them.
Let's talk a little bit about these chicanes and curves. Ooh, pass to the inside, trying to regain lost ground from the start. That's Ryan Briscoe in the number 2, moving past Boris Said. A look back from Said, and you're looking at one of those Valvoline Fujitsu cars. That one with the smoked headlight covers is Simon Pagenaud, 33. The other car has blue headlight covers, and that would be Farfus.
And see, folks, you know Barrett Jackson over here. He recognizes those kinds of things and picks up on them real quickly.
And we were given good notes.
Yes, we were. I think, Mike, what we're seeing right now, though, is probably a fear that most of these drivers had. Those two Vodafone cars are checking out on everybody else, and that's kind of been the trend here this weekend.
You're looking at Boris Said out through the windshield of Simon Pagenaud. And let's go down to the Vodafone team garage. Cal?
Down here with Roland Dane, team principal for AAA Engineering. Roland, the perfect start for Andy there. 5th on the grid. You had to be concerned initially before we see him get that launch that he had.
Yeah, he obviously didn't have a start yesterday off the line, so a little bit more pressure on him then, but he responded well. A great start, yeah.
Certainly looking good so far, running 1-2, but this championship is really coming down to the wire. Now we've seen a huge swing with Lowndesy getting the lead after Bathurst, and then a big reverse yesterday. How do you control two guys like this when the heat of the battle is on in the championship chase?
I'm not sure. I don't mind. As long as one of our guys wins, that's the bottom line. So we've just got to try and make sure we don't make any silly mistakes or have any mechanicals like yesterday affecting the outcome.
Right, mate. Cheers.
Thank you.
I talked to Roland yesterday about that very thing, and he said, look, mechanicals happen. That's racing. What we impress upon our two drivers, don't take each other out. That's a bus ticket home if you do.
Yes. So you're looking back from Boris Said and Simon Pagenaud, and you'll see the green light through the windshield on these cars, except when the sunlight's bright right on them, and also the green dot at the bottom of the screen. Whoa, boy, jump and run. Whoa, that is Dirk Mueller, and that is right the same location where he knocked that car out of the race yesterday.
Remember the Mira?
Yeah, it's gone.
He just lost his.
And Steven Johnson.
Yeah, not good.
Well, Steven, he never got in the car yesterday because of what Mueller
He
did
may
to
not
him.
get in it again today.
That's entirely possible. 7 laps complete. Sebastian Bourdais leading Andy Priaulx. Lyons, Salo, and Gavin the top 5. Briscoe back up to 6th, and Said, Pagenaud, Tagliani, and Lee. Sebastian Bourdais continues to lead here on the Gold Coast of Australia. He's up on Andy Priaulx by 1.5 seconds. Lyons 2 seconds back. Mika Salo 3 seconds off the lead. Gavin 4 back, and then a big gap to Ryan Briscoe 8 seconds behind. But this is Jason Bright's teammate has gone off. Stefan Sarrazin missed that left-hander. I don't think he got into the barrier, and so it's just a stop and turn around.
Yeah, I don't either, but they have struggled with their cars all weekend long. Brad Jones and those guys, the cars haven't handled as good as they wanted them to, had problems in the pits. This has been a nightmare of a weekend for that team.
So there's your leader, Sebastian Bourdais.
Mike just doing an amazing job in this car.
We talked earlier about the green light on the dash and the green light on the scoring rundown. And that indicates that the co-driver is in the car. When the car's regular driver from the V8 Supercar Series is in the car, that light is not lit. In the windshield, there's also a red light that you may or may not see, and the red light indicates the presence of the soft compound tire, because at many tracks you have a choice between a soft and a hard compound. Here you don't, so some drivers have the red light on, some have it off. Ryan Briscoe slowing.
He's got a problem of some kind. The car is very slow. What a shame. He and Gartender, I thought they would be real contenders, but this looks like it's some sort of mechanical problem.
Stefan Sarrazin is in with the number 8. Let's go to the pit.
And Mike, I just spoke with his co-driver Jason Bright. Situation with Sarrazin out on track was he heavily flat spotted one of the tires on the very first lap of the race, and that made it a very difficult car to handle, and we obviously saw the end result.
And Marino Franchitti, you saw a good bit of smoke there, looked like tire lockup on his Gulf and Western car. Now here is the Toll Holden number 2 Ryan Briscoe in the pit lane. No indication on the radio. Lee, what's up?
As you can see, Mike, Briscoe has just brought the number 2 HRT Commodore to pit road. No visible signs. Some of the guys checking the back here. They're putting the stubby jacks down below as a safety precaution so the car does not drop. There's thorough examination going on at the rear end of the car. I'll catch up with team manager Mike Henry in just a moment as soon as they release Briscoe, but it has been a troublesome start to the day.
And it began on the very start of the race. Briscoe did not get off the starting line well.
You saw also they were working on the radio, trying to get the radio fixed, but I think there's some mechanical much more serious than they realize.
Control. Well, we saw that smoke from Marino Franchitti's car. We're told he is dropping some fluid, so he'll have a mechanical black flag.
Yeah, that looked like brake lockup when he went into the turn, but as you can see, it's trailing a pretty good bit of smoke, so they got some kind of a leak somewhere.
Farfus in that Valvoline car trying very, very hard on the trading post machine of Liuzzi.
Now remember, Mike, you know this, these guys raced 300 kilometers here yesterday, and so this is the second race of the weekend for these cars. So looks like we're seeing some mechanical issues, Lee.
DW, the mechanic on the rear left of the car, took the wheel off again, did more examination under that rear left side, and immediately jumped to tell the team, do not send him. They're going to put him on the roller jacks and put this car in the garage.
Yeah, it's a very sharp turn into the garage area here, which is right adjacent the pits. So they put him on those rolling jacks to spin him and put him in the garage for more repair.
Something broke in the rear of the car, Mike. You can see it just got out of control right there. Maybe something in the gear went away, or maybe it broke an axle.
These cars run a spool, don't they? They're
Yes,
a
they
regular
do. Yeah,
9-inch rear, like
Sure.
is run in Sprint Cup racing, but there's no limited slip. It's a locked rear, right?
I think that looked like he may have broken an axle. I think that's what they're probably dealing with. Up, another car ring.
And that'll be Farfus. He had been challenging hard and running side by side. Looked like he just missed the corner.
Man.
Back to lead.
DW must have been around a few racetracks in your time. It's a broken axle.
Yeah. Well, when I saw the car get loose up there in the corner, Lee, that's exactly what it looked like. So, yeah, they can fix that. They're going to have to fish it out of there. Hopefully they can get it out and put another one in and get back in the race. They have a rule, you know, you get no points if you have to run like, what is it, 70%? 75% of the race.
Of the
or
race
you get
distance.
no points. You can
So
see
there's Garth Tander atop the podium at Bathurst 2 weeks ago, in the garage today.
And a strong run here yesterday, too.
14 laps complete. Sebastian Bourdais' lead is shrinking.
"40 years ago, we invented a whole new..."
Tomorrow, immediately following the Sprint Cup race at Talladega, turn to speed for NASCAR Victory Lane. For expanded post-race coverage you can't find anywhere else. NASCAR Victory Lane, fueled by Sunoco, and its new time immediately following the Cup race right here on Speed. We are 16 laps in. Sebastian Bourdais leading Andy Prio by about 0.6 of a second. No change in the running order of the top 5. And we're about 18 laps away from the point in the race when the international drivers could turn the car over after completing the required minimum distance, 1/3 of the race, or 34 laps.
Yeah, yesterday, you know, Briscoe had a problem. He pitted 1 lap too soon. I talked to the engineers. They thought he had passed pit road entrance, so they told him to pit. They wanted him to pit next time by, but then they realized that he was already on pit road a lap too early. So you have to really watch that. You got to get those 34 laps in on the racetrack.
Lee?
Well, Mike, as we mentioned, we know it's a broken axle for Ryan Briscoe and Bathurst winner Garth Tander. What happened? How much warning did you get? Did it just go all of a sudden?
Yeah, it just went all of a sudden, but I'll tell you, when it rains, it pours. We had no radio, and silly me, without the radio, I started the race on the full lean map, so it just bogged the engine off the start, and I lost a couple of spots, but gained one back. Car was running okay. It didn't feel 100% in the rear, though, and all of a sudden, then out of turn 4, I just gassed it, and it just snapped, and I guess it looks like the rear axle broke. So really disappointing, but anyway, my thoughts are obviously with the Weldon family and Susie and everybody. We're certainly racing out here with Dan in mind, and it's been a tough week. Sorry I missed everything in St. Petersburg yesterday, but I tell you, everyone out here at V8 Supercars, they've done an amazing tribute to Dan and his family, and it's been phenomenal. So look forward to getting back to the US. Wasn't our day today, but it's motor racing.
And guys, they are going to replace that axle to try and help Garth Tander's championship points situation. Calvin?
Well, the star of the show here yesterday in race 1 was James Moffat in the number 18 Jim Beam car. And James, you led 30 laps, you came back with fresh tyres, sensational at the end. Talk about the run you had here.
Hey, look, Joey got on the radio at that last restart and said maximum attack, so that's what I did. I was up on the wheel, and she was tapped out for sure, but it was a great day for us yesterday. Joey started well. He's just struggling with a bit of a long brake pedal, so this early in the race, that's a bit of a worry, but other than that, no problems.
You guys made tremendous progress. You were P28 after first practice, then you had fastest race lap yesterday.
Exactly right. Credit to Joey. You know, he did a lot of the setup work, and his 2 co-driver practice sessions on the Friday, and made the car a lot better. So we've come a long way since practice 1.
All right, mate, we look forward to seeing you back behind the wheel today.
Thanks, guys. Cheers.
Mike, you know, they have so much telemetry in the cars that they can monitor almost every aspect of the car. Engine, brakes. You heard somebody say go to a different setting on your rear bar. They can adjust the sway bars. They can tell the driver what he can do from the car or what he may be dealing with in the car. They cannot do anything to the car until he comes into the pit lane. But I like that because they can monitor tire pressure, brake pressure, so many things that are very helpful to a driver.
Absolutely. Here's Darren Turner in the toll hold in the red car, and Liuzzi blows the chicane. And let's talk about that, Daryl, because they have monitors, they have transponders on these cars, and they have timing loops, not for lap timing through the chicanes, but for position. So that if your car has 4 tires off the racing surface and over the chicane, it will trigger on the scoring monitor. And they call it a hop. And you are allowed 5 hops. And let's see.
Well, Boris said right now has 5. And,
Simonson has 5.
Simonson has 5. Mueller has 5. Westbrook has 5. And the 6th one, and you get a drive-through.
Yeah, 6th one, you get a drive-through penalty for curb infringement. Giovanardi in the 21. The number 7 of Richard Westbrook has also been pulled in and given the drive-through penalty for curb hopping. And again, you can protest it, each one of those hops, if you claim you were driven off the track and over the curb. But in general, once that counter gets to 6.
You see right there, no more curb. Got to stay off the curbs. And he's got his 5. And now Fiore has 6.
And that would be a drive-through penalty.
Giovanardi, he's got 8 already.
Well, you said those chicanes are hard to see when you're out there.
Well, they are. And these guys, they try to straighten them out, but they got those markers in there to keep you from doing it every lap.
Now, at 1/3 distance, 34 laps, that whole column will reset to 0 upon the driver change. And then again, at 2/3 distance, it resets to 7.
Yeah, there was a lot of drivers upset with that process of how they were monitoring hitting those markers. A lot of drivers very unhappy. And as I told you earlier in the show yesterday, Lowndes' car actually ended up with a one of those poles through the radiator.
A bollard.
A bollard, yes, they call them bollards. The pole at home. But
now yesterday, some drivers thought they could save up their hops and just blow through all the chicanes toward the end of the race. Guess what? Today there's a new rule.
Well, I told them, I said, I know what I would do if I had 5 of them. I'd say for the last 5 laps.
Sebastien Bourdais leads Andy Priaulx at 1.8 seconds. We are 20 laps in here on the Gold Coast. Welcome back to the Gold Coast, where the curb hopping continues. Dean Fiore has been brought down pit road. Alan Simonson as well for exceeding the number of curb jumps.
Well, Mike, as you look at the curves there, you really can't define them. They've been run over so much that the paint's worn off, and as you come up there at 165, 70 miles an hour, it's pretty hard to weave in and out of those things. You really can't define where they are right now.
Down to the pits, Calvin.
Here with Mark Winterbottom. Frosty, you always run well here. 10th podium finish here. You've had 2 poles here. You'd love to get that win. Now, Richard Lyons is really filling in well for Will Power here, who couldn't be here this weekend, of course, with his injuries. What do you expect today, mate? Another podium or a win?
We're going for a win, but those 2 Triple Eight cars do look pretty quick, but, you know, Richard's doing a great job. We put him in a better position today. Yesterday, I threw him in amongst the garbage, and he did well to get through, but you know, once you survive this first stint, we'll find a rhythm and jump in the car and hopefully put some pressure on the other boys. But he's doing a great job. He's really in a nice rhythm and the car's straight, and that's what he's got to do.
We saw the effect of new tyres at the end of the race yesterday for you and for Moffat. Do you think that'll change people's strategy in terms of that last stop today?
Yeah, we did 47 laps on a set of tyres yesterday, so we missed out on that window, but depends on your strategy, which way you go. He was lucky, Moffat, with that last safety car, but it was pretty scary watching him come too, let me tell you. So one time it'll work for you, one time it'll work against you. We got it right yesterday, I believe, but who knows? Anything can happen out there. Safety car comes out. Do you or don't you? That's the $1 million question.
DW said he loved the lap you took us around. He's just glad he weren't sitting beside you, mate.
I heard about his passenger ride, so yeah, it was a good lap, but I don't know if it's as good as Bathurst. He was pretty special to get that one.
Right, mate, cheers.
Thank you.
You know, Mike, the funny thing about that ride I took, a lot of the drivers said, I would have never done that, but if I had the nerve to do it, that was a great lap.
But they were glad you did.
Yeah, they were happy I did it.
Richard Lyons, who is well-traveled. He's a Northern Irishman. He's been living in Japan, but with the earthquakes, he's moved to Singapore. The number 18, Mueller, Dirk Mueller, has pitted. They have grained up the right front tire. They're going to change that one. Lee?
Mike, another well-traveled man is American star Patrick Long. Pat came here a year ago for the first time, and in a very unflattering gesture by one of the local motor racing magazines, they ranked him 18th at last. And he made them eat their words by finishing the second best international. Today, Pat started in 15th and has worked his way up 7 positions to 8th. Nobody in front of him has stopped. He has made those moves on the track.
Great talent, factory Porsche driver on loan here for this event. Each of the international drivers guaranteed a minimum of $10,000 plus expenses. Obviously, the wealthier teams can spend more, and some do.
As a matter of fact, I think Greg Lowndes could have an advantage today, Mike, because he didn't finish the race yesterday. He has extra sets of tires in his pit, new tires, that might come into play at the end of this race.
Good point.
And you can see they just continue to just avoid that particular center part of that chicane. It's really no other way to get through there.
No. Now that's his Lyons coming up on Tagliani, who is a lap down. Tags got involved with some of that earlier skirmishing on lap number 1.
Ah, the old foot cam. I tell you, I haven't seen enough of that. These gearboxes are sequential 6 speeds, and you can shift up, you know, first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth gear without the clutch. But most of the guys like to heel and toe as they downshift just to preserve the gearbox. See there. Here we go. A little heel and toe here. Nice work. My feet were in there. It looked like I was stomping out a fire.
11th place. Bergmeister and Turner.
Mike, one of the things the drivers have told me across the board is very physical. They run a cool suit. It's really hot in these cars. They're closed up in there. And it's a very physical racetrack because of all the left, right, left, right, left, right. All the turning and shifting and everything that you do.
28 laps complete. As you watch George Burmeister teamed with Rick Kelly in the number 15. And he is under pressure from Darren Turner.
You know, the bad fire we saw at Bathurst, the car was on fire. I thought it would have destroyed it. In fact, it's fixed and it's here racing, and that was it.
You're riding with Darren Turner.
Now look at
paired with James Courtney.
Look at how much wheel, constant turning on the wheel, hard on the brake. That's a lot of wheel right there. And these cars have quick steering in them. That's a really small wheel, and to crank it around that Ford just tells you how tight these corners are.
28 laps complete. We're about 6 laps from the driver change, Lee.
And Mike standing by with Darren Turner, who you were just talking about, his co-driver James Courtney. JC, Darren's made a terrific start. He's made up more than 10 positions already.
Yeah, no, he's doing really, really well. He, he's lucky to get out of that accident in the start. It was pretty close for us. We got a little bit of damage in the front, but no, the car's running pretty good. He's done an awesome stint, and hat goes off to him. He's done a great job.
Enjoy your stint coming up. Turner will be in the next couple of laps. Cal?
Well, Leo, just checked in with Adrian Burgess, who's team manager of the Vodafone team. I said, will you stretch this first stint a little bit further than that 34 mandatory mark to ease the load on the tyres at the end of this race? And he said, no, we really can't afford to play with a potential safety car coming out, so we're probably going to get to that 34 mark and then bring the boys in. But if none of the other leaders come in, they should really have a safety net there. As soon as some of the other potential leaders pit and stay on that lead lap, then I think they'd have to follow suit. So we'll have to wait and see. There'll be a lot of action down here in about 5 laps.
And Lee, I tell you, I like that because they're not taking, even though they're dominating this race right now, they're not taking their competition for granted. They're going to stick to their game plan. They're not going to sit out there on old tires, lose some time, and come get 4 tires, back out.
Now here's Bourdais trying to lap Helio Castroneves. Castroneves, I believe, was one of the 3 cars that started this race from pit lane. That is from the back of the pack. But that strategy appears to have gone awry because the leaders have caught him up and are about to put Helio a lap down.
Well, these Vodafone cars, Mike, are running through this field right now. They're about a half to a second quicker than most of the cars in the field. They've got the handle, they got the power, and they are putting on a show.
Marino Franchitti takes his Gulf Western Oil number 30 to the garage and may be the second car out of this race. In 1 week, October 30th, for the first time ever, the roar of Formula One awakens New Delhi. It's the Grand Prix of India. Sunday, October 30th, 5 a.m. Eastern, live and only on Speed. Mika Salo has cut down a right front tire, so the Trading Post Ford will make an unscheduled stop. Will Davison waiting to climb aboard. Trading Post is the Australian version of our Auto Trader. And Salo's got to limp that thing in with what's left of the right front.
He's going to make it. I thought that tire would come off before he got here. You can see here what happened, Mike. Big lockup, blew the right front tire out.
Will Davison can only wait. All right, we are 2 laps away from the time at which the driver changes can be made. Cal?
That's a very important point, Mike, because if they had got to that 34 mark, they could have done the driver change, which would have really eliminated the handicap they're going to have by pitting right now. So Mika Salo's going to stay in this car. The mechanics are having a close look at this right front corner. They're giving it the okay, just changing tires, topping them up with fuel. If they do another pretty much a full stint, no real bodywork damage to this. Wheels are spinning. They've got to keep the car up on the jacks while the fueling's done. He's away. Lee?
Cal, frustration for Mika Salo, also frustration for Marino Franchitti. We know that his big brother Dario will be watching. It was a tough day yesterday with an accident that put the car out. Just spoke to Matty Crawford, team manager. He said there is oil everywhere under the car. We're just trying to identify what the problem is. And Mike, Ryan Briscoe just returned to the track in the number 2 HRT Commodore.
Well, he'll be Briscoe will be 22 laps in arrears, but will have the opportunity to complete 75% of the race and earn points for Garth Tander.
Yeah, if that axle breaks out near the end, out near the hub, out near the wheel side of the rear end, you can reach in there and pull it out. But if it breaks inside next to the gear part of the rear end, then you got to pull the whole bottom of the whole gear out to get the pieces out. That must be what they did, because it took them a long time to fix it.
Sébastien Bourdais has led from the start, and we believe he will pit. He is pitting this time, completing 34 laps at the beginning of pit lane. That's the minimum that each driver must do. Orders being given. Here's Cal.
Well, coming down, there's a lot for these guys to do. They've got to bypass the cool suit, disconnect the cool suit, the driver air feed, loosen the belts, reset the adjustable anti-roll bars, radio and drink, and then get it all right. Jamie Whincup, the championship leader, now going to jump in, take over some Sébastien Bourdais. Now remember at Bathurst, these teams kept stacking up, so they got to split the 2 cars. Otherwise, there's only 1 refueling rig for the Vodafone team. So expect Andy Priaulx to be on the very next lap. Let's get down to Lee.
Oliver Gavin has done that minimum requirement, as Mike was telling us about. Another stellar job from the lanky Englishman. His legs are hurting. He may be suffering from cramps. He's limping as he got out of the car. Murphy is aboard. He has been a race winner here on the streets of Service Paradise before, and Gavin has given this team the best possible start. Murphy was all pumped up before getting on board, and this team is going to be a contender today, Mike.
So most of these entries are 2-car teams. They'll pit 1 car on lap 34, pit the second car 1 lap later, as long as the track stays green. Cal.
Number 18 car pulls in. These pit boxes are really tight, Mike. They're about 2/3 of the size we saw at Bathurst. They're barely the length of the race car itself as Joey Hand pulls in the Jim Beam machine and turns it over to his teammate, who he's nicknamed the Moth this weekend. Really concerned here about the long brake pedal that Joey was talking about, and there you see the team are going to work and changing these front brake pads. They can do this if everything goes right in about 15 seconds, and there'd be about 25 seconds of fuel going in. Meanwhile, the Vodafone car of Andy Prio is now in pit lane. He's going to be turning it over to Craig Lowndes. What a beautiful job the Englishman has done. He was the leading international driver here last year. He's a 3-time World Touring Car champion, and now he's got his teammate Craig Lowndes out behind the wheel. We see a little spray of water there. They're using water brakes here this weekend. They have to re-replenish. Good pit stop. Down to Lee.
And Cal, young American Patrick Long was a superstar in that stint. You made more progress than anybody else in the field. Another wonderful job.
I'm having a dreamlike time here, man. This is too much fun. They said you Aussies were nice guys, but that was an understatement. The racing is so tough. Some of the best in the business are being humble this weekend. I wouldn't call myself best in the business, but definitely being humble. I love it. It's too much fun, and we're going to get this Bundaberg car up front. It was good yesterday. We got a P5 at the end, and, you know, it was reasonable. We had a tough qualifying session, so I just had to make my way through on the starts and try not to be bumping any of my Porsche teammates out of the way, but we got a race car underneath us. I just had to play it patient and be the team player.
Another good job from Pat Long. Cal?
Well, the problems continue for the number 18 machine. They changed the front pads, and then the mechanics saw something more dire once they looked inside the wheel well. So they're going here. I see some rotors at the front of the car. Once they get the car in the garage, of course, it can be all men on deck. There's only 8 team members allowed when they're in pit lane, so this is a lengthy stop and really going to hurt these guys now. But the Vodafone cars are really battling it on the racetrack, Mike.
That they are, as the exchange has been made among most of the top teams, and Jan Magnussen, who on the first lap of the race turned the Bodelo car around and had to do a drive-through penalty. Magnussen is now the race leader after 35 laps.
The strategies of this race, it really determines the outcome. You've got to have a game plan, just like we see on road course racing at home. 34 laps is your pit window, and you can run up to 48. And getting in, getting the fuel, how much fuel you got at the end, how long it takes to fuel the car. So many factors. But one of the things, Mike, whoa, yeah, that was a little tight right there.
That was your leader up at the top of the screen.
No
that was
kidding.
Magnussen.
He just, well, here he goes again.
The Vodafone car missed the chicane. That was the 888. That was Lowndes.
But what fascinates me about these guys, they can change drivers in 13 seconds. They can change brake pads in 15 seconds. And they got 23 seconds of fuel. So they do a lot of work on these cars when they come on pit road in a very short period of time.
You're seeing the brake change there in the Dick Johnson team pits, the Jim Beam pits. Let's go further up pit lane to Cal.
Well, a guy had a great opening stint there as Andy Prio. I know you're concerned about being mired in the pack there for the start, but straight to second and then putting the pressure on Seb. Looked like I was under control.
Yeah, I mean, I had a great start. Just sat off the line, off it went. So pretty happy because I didn't start yesterday. So, but no, excellent first stint. A lot of traffic. Pretty much touch and go between the two cars. A little bit more difficult to follow. Used a bit more tyre, but overall very happy with the stint. Just seen Craig go out on P1, but it's just been taken over again from Jamie. So it's going to be a close fight to the end.
On these soft tyres, how long to get that tyre temperature up? Jamie had a lap on his. Was that the reason there?
Yeah, for sure. It makes a big difference. You know, just getting acclimatised to the grip and to have some more temperature in the tyre. But it's a long stint. It's a long time on a soft tyre. So I'll just see how we go.
Better day than yesterday, mate.
Yes, mate. A lot better. Let's just try and finish it off.
Well, on my card, Andy Prio led the list of international drivers because he has the most experience in these type of cars and on these circuits. So great job there. And let's see the pass. Whincup and Lowndes, and a little bit of contact there. This is a different incident. There's the Bundaberg car in black and silver moving through. Fabian Coulthard.
Let's watch.
And here's the pass.
Here you go, right here.
And with Magnussen pitting, this becomes the pass for the lead. Whincup moving inside Lowndes, who has to give way.
Yeah, and that is team orders. I don't mean team orders. That's team protocol. You don't block your teammate, and you don't put your teammate in jeopardy. He had a position on it. He had position on him. He made the pass.
So with Jan Magnussen pitting, Vodafone cars go back in front. Bold move there as the number 1 of Turner drops tonight from Lee Holdsworth, who makes the pass in his Fujitsu car. 38 laps complete in the Gold Coast. .40 of 102 laps complete in race 22 of the Australian V8 Supercar season. We're delighted to be here to bring it to you live on Speed. Second race in a row. With Darrell Waltrip, I'm Mike Joy, Lee Diffie, and Calvin Fish in the pit lane. 40 laps complete. Team Vodafone. The Holdens of Jamie Whincup and Craig Lowndes running 1-2, about 8/10 apart. Frosty Winterbottom in the number 5 Ford is the third place car. Dean Fiore up for 4th. Alan Simonson 5th. Greg Murphy 6th. Lee Holdsworth, Turner, Davidson, and Liuzzi with Elio Castroneves just out of the top 10.
Greg Murphy in the Pepsi Max car has really done a nice job. He went back out on the racetrack in 11th place, and he's worked his way up to 6th already. So the Murph is on the gas.
Let's hear from his teammate.
Yes, 4-time Le Mans winner Ollie Gavin. You got to start up front today, mate, so I imagine it's a much nicer experience than having to work your way through the pack around this place.
Yeah, it was still fun though. You know, there's still a bit of bumping and banging at the start there with Boris and a few other guys. I had to make sure that I got myself past Boris because he was holding a few up yesterday. So that was my main aim at the start, and then it was just really seeing how the gap was developing with the other guys, because those AAA cars are just phenomenal. But the Pepsi Max car was performing pretty well. I was just getting quite a few warnings in the chicane, so I had to back it up a little bit. It was going okay, but then I started to get dead leg, and my left leg went completely to sleep. And that's why I may have got out of the car and looked a complete fool and nearly fell straight into the fast lane, because I didn't have any feeling at all, and it wasn't working at all. But we came in 4th, I believe, and you know, Murph's now out there, and he'll be pushing as hard as he can.
And Cal, they're pretty happy with tyre life. They're going to stretch Murph on this second stint as long as they can.
Yeah, I think everyone's going to be looking at tyre strategy, Lee, but we're looking here at the brake rotor that came off of Joey Hand's front end of the car. There you can see the rotor completely disconnected from the hat, so that was major drama. And Joey, I know you reported early that the brake pedal was getting long. You had such a great day yesterday running up in the top 5. Had to make it a long stint, mate.
Yeah, it was a long stint, man. It was right from about second lap, I felt something was haywiring, but, you know, I've had a great time here with Dick Johnson Racing. Thanks to FXDD for jumping on board with us. But these boys made me feel at home. They made me feel comfy. That got a little uncomfy, I'll tell you. But I told them I was going to drive it till it was done. But you know, what are you going to say? The legend Dick Johnson Racing. I got to drive for him. Just a great team and special great effort from Moffitt yesterday. We wanted to get a surfboard, but it's going to make it all the better to come back here next year.
Right, mate, congrats on a great year.
Thanks a lot, Cal.
And Mike, I think across the board, I think from us being at the 2 races we've been to, you hear the drivers that are visitors here. This series makes you feel so at home and so welcome that you, just like you and I, you'll travel 10,000 miles just to come back for another race.
And we did.
Yeah,
yes, absolutely. You heard the reference. At Martinsville, you win, you get a clock. At Nashville, you get a guitar. You win here at Surfers Paradise, you get a surfboard. Right.
You and I got a boomerang. We went home and we turned around and came right back.
We boomerang. Stefan Sarrazin in the pits. Safety car period. Yellow flag round the course. Sarrazin jumps back in. Jason Bright will climb aboard. Several other cars hit pit road. Safety car on track. We'll update after this. Debris in turn 11 puts us under safety car. Here are some highlights from the start, as Ryan Briscoe does not get off the grid very quickly. The 39 turns the Botolo car around. Major damage to Christian Kleen's machine, and it went to the garage. Dirk Mueller almost plants the number 17, causing Steven Johnson some alarm. And Ryan Briscoe breaks an axle. Has to bring his Toll Holden to the garage for lengthy repairs. He's now back out there. The Team Vodafone cars acting anything but teammate-like, as Jamie Whincup forces the issue past Craig Lowndes, and that's pretty well brings you up to date where we sit with debris at turn 11, putting the safety car on course.
These guys play head games a lot like we do back home. Gartander was saying, you know, Roland Daines, the owner of that Vodafone team, he's going to have a hard time managing the egos of his two drivers as they battle down the road here for the championship. I thought that was kind of interesting. He was trying to get in the head of the team down there that's obviously dominating this race and the championship.
All right, we've had a few pit stops. Helio Castroneves has turned over to Tim Slade, and more stories, Lee.
Mike, what a day for the number 14 Jana living car of Jason Bargwanna and Alan Simonson. Simonson started, but he couldn't start. They couldn't fire it on the grid, and you have to do that. So they pushed the car in. They got things going. He started from pit lane. They came back in after that to top it off so they could go a little bit longer. And amongst all that mayhem, Simonson brought that car in 6th place. They were able to pit just then under caution. They're in the mix. Bargwanna has taken the wheel. Cal?
Lee, we have seen some teams take the opportunity to make a pit stop here, but none of the leaders. They're about 11 laps out of their one-stop window to the finish as we see the leaders flash across the line, taking the green.
Back under green, Whincup and Lowndes.
A quickie yellow. I mean, that just that was only just to pick up some debris. Some rubbish was on the track, and back to racing.
So it's 2 Holdens leading the Ford of Mark Winterbottom in 3rd, Greg Murphy in 4th. That's a Holdsworth in 5th, Davison, Coulthard, Kelly, Owen, and Van Gisbergen. The top 10, then Slade, who just climbed in for Castroneves, Bargwanna, as Lee explained.
Oh,
Engel and Courtney.
I think that was Winterbottom. I think that was Whincup coming through there, trying to clean up his tires as they were taking the green. That's why you saw the car kind of weaving from side to side. I tell you, Greg Murphy in the Pepsi Max car, what a drive up to 4th. I like old Murph. I've had a lot of fun with him this weekend, picking on him, and he's a fun guy. Wants to come to America and go to a few races. I told him he could be my guest.
Whincup appears to have the measure of Lowndes for now. Of course, they won yesterday, while Lowndes' car spent most of the day in the garage with electrical troubles. Jason Wright moves aside. Burke moves through. A little more action, almost 3 wide there in the corner.
Oh, got a car turned around back there in the back of the picture I saw. I can't tell who it was. Here we go. Still can't tell.
That's the 12. That's Dean Fiore's car, the West Track machine.
Yeah, Jason Wright, the driver that I took the lap with up at Bathurst. Boy, they have struggled with that car this weekend. They can't get it to handle right, and had problems in the pits, and he's way off pace again today. Really disappointing performance.
Yeah, you see him to the left there as Murph moves through, and he loses 2 more spots.
Just trying to get out of the way, and of course here I see what happened now. He ran out of racetrack. Pretty easy to do here.
From the chopper, it's a beautiful looking race course. Looking through the windshield, pretty diabolical.
Oh, it's very difficult. And right here you see going down the pit straightaway. You're running 170 miles an hour into that chicane you see right there. Very tight, very difficult. And then you got a tight left-hander right here that puts you up on a little bit of a back straightaway. Then you go into another chicane, another switchback.
That's a double chicane there with
double chicane. Yep, and then you get up a little bit ahead of steam right here, coming through here. Now you get a little head of steam up, and then you go right into a hard left-hander at the end of this straightaway, right here.
Let's check with Lee.
Mike standing here with 2-time kart champion and Indy 500 winner Gilles de Ferran. I thought you were retired. What are you doing here?
I'm retired. I'm just having a little bit of fun. I had a great time out there today. I felt much better today than I did yesterday. We were, had a terrible start, but then from there on it was nice. It was pushing hard and everything else. But I'm okay on the track, but trying to get out of the car, it's impossible. So, we were, looking good there, probably close to the top 10. but I couldn't get out of the car, and we lost 15 seconds or whatever and dropped the lap. So I need to apologize to my team that I can't get out of the car, I guess.
Gilles knows the team manager, Bruce Jenkins. That's how he's ended up here, and he really wants to emphasize, Mike, to everyone back in the States, he's not coming out of retirement. This is a one-off.
No, it's a one-off and having a lot of fun doing it. He shares the number 19 Mother energy drink car with Jonathan Webb.
Maybe he was like I was at Bathurst. I was having a hard time getting out of the car, too.
Close to halfway, Whincup and Lowndes continue to go at it for the lead, 2 seconds ahead of Winterbottom. That orange car is Jason Bargwanna, and he is having a great drive as much as he had trouble yesterday. He's brought the Jana Living car up into the top 10. Just made the pass on Slade's 47 and trying to hold back the number 1 Holden of James Courtney, but Bargwanna is he's getting it done.
He's a funny guy. You and I picked on him a little bit through the weekend here. You know, we both agreed he kind of reminded us of Kenny Schrader back home.
Oh, a whole lot. Yep. Races and has a lot of fun doing it. Drive-through penalties for Jason Bright and for Michael Caruso in the 34. They have a rule in this series as we ride along. With the 6, that's Bargwanna just ahead. They have a rule that if you're 2 or more laps down on a restart when the green flag's displayed, you must go through the pit lane so you don't impede the cars on the lead lap and the cars 1 lap down. So instead of resetting the order on the track, the cars laps down have to roll through the pit lane from the start. They didn't. They got a drive-through, and a drive-through penalty for number 49, Steve Owen, Borissette's teammate, for a little too much curb hopping.
Yeah, the curb hopping thing is kind of confusing to me. I don't see them quite monitoring like that they did yesterday. Remember, folks, these guys ran a race yesterday, same length race, 300 kilometers. Be a lot like Kyle Busch running a nationwide race on Saturday and coming back and running a cup race on Sunday. So these guys are getting a little bit irritated with each other. We see some contact here.
Dean Fiore is in the fence.
I think the patience may be running a little thin with some of these guys.
Now I say Fiore, that's the regular driver on that car. Gianni Morbidelli is still in the car, and it's because they had to make a stop for tires early. So he's trying to run out a full 2 stints, and he has come up short.
Yeah, he has no intention. I don't think he's going to get the car cranked. It's backed up in there pretty hard. See what happens here.
Oh, he got turned around. Turned around by Liuzzi.
Yeah, actually, didn't hit as hard as I thought it did.
Now, all the teams have access to these same video feeds, so they anticipate a safety car period, and that's what we're going to have. Caution flags are waving all around the course, full course yellow, and as you see on the screen, safety car period. Well, let's see what's going to happen with these stops. Lee.
Mike, I'm down here with Darren Turner. Darren, you're here driving for Dan Wheldon, and your old mate would have been very pleased and proud of the way you drove that opening stint.
Well, it went all right to begin with, but then obviously we picked up a penalty.
I have to scoot in the back here because your car is about to come in. Tell us more about that stint.
Yeah, it's quite exciting the first couple of laps. Nearly had a coming one. I did have a bit of a coming together with a spinning Christian Klein, but thankfully got away with it. And then was picking up places, and I think by the time we got towards when I had the penalty, I was either 12th or 13th. So yeah, I was happy, and I was hoping to finish the stint in a really good way. Too damn proud this weekend, but unfortunately got that penalty for excessive curb hopping.
Cal?
Well, just as we saw at Bathurst, there's a stack up here in the Vodafone camp. There's only 1 burn, 1 refueling rig. So it's Jamie Whincup first, and now Craig Lance has to wait, and there you can see the rest of the field is streaming out. So the fact these guys are running so close together doesn't create any margin, so they're going to lose some track position here, but nothing they can do. I think they're going to be within about 2 laps of making it now on fuel, so depending on the length of this caution, it's going to be awfully tight with about 52 laps to go.
Well, you're right, Cal. Whincup was the leader, and Lowndes was second, but they now exit the pits 10 positions apart.
Yeah, that's I think, though, I honestly believe there's 48 laps to go. I honestly believe, looks like my buddy here, Jason Bright's got some kind of issue. He's been having trouble all day long. Whoa! No, I see what the problem is now.
What in the world?
That is a blind corner, and of course, the car's coming up the wrong way, and you absolutely would not expect that. And Jason had nowhere to go.
That's the dumbest thing I've ever seen.
No, that's that show they have on feet.
Oh, yeah, that's Wednesday night. Well, Morbidelli was trying to go back up to the corner to have enough room to spin his car around. Right into the path of Jason Bright. Boy, nothing has gone right for Jason Bright this weekend.
No, Brad Jones' team has really struggled with Jason's car. It's a shame. Had a great finish at Bathurst, finished 5th, but not to be this weekend.
Well, Bright will have to come in. But his teammate, Jason Bargwanna, is now the leader. Because he had stopped earlier, I don't think he stopped under this caution period. So Bargs is first, Will Davison second, Whincup third, Winterbottom and Holdsworth.
The Brad Jones team, they used a lot of strange strategy to win races.
They sure didn't count on what just happened to Jason Bright. I still can't believe it. Welcome back to the Gold Coast in Australia. We're under a safety car period, full course caution. Johnny Morbidelli had spun and then came wrong way up the track to find a wide enough spot in the road to turn his car around right into the path of Jason Bright. What was he thinking?
I don't know. That was obviously he wasn't thinking about Jason coming down through there as fast as he was. That could have been a lot bigger than it really was. But Mike, this caution, this particular caution right here falls in that window where can I make it or not?
Right.
And these guys have something we don't have at home. They can dial fuel in and out of these cars. They can lean. They can go to a lean setting, stretch mileage, 48 laps to go. Somebody can make it.
But what do you make of the fact that Lowndes has had nothing for Whincup?
Oh no, Whincup's car, just like yesterday, is on a rail. He's driving at perfection. Lowndes is, I think Lowndes is struggling. You know, he lost the point lead yesterday to his teammate, and I think he's really pushing hard, and maybe a little panic has set in.
Perhaps. Jason Bargwanna is the leader. Let's check with Cal.
Well, just an update on that fuel strategy that Darrell was talking about. He's spot on, 48 laps to go. That's not within the fuel window. 46 is the number. Spoke to Adrian Burgess, who's team manager at the Vodafone team. He said, we're in the same shape as everyone else with the giggle. I said, what do you need? He said, we need a little bit more caution to gain some of those laps back. But the big concern now is tires. If they do run that full stint, 48 laps on these tires, they're going to be awfully tired. If anyone takes a gamble and runs a quick pit stop, grabs some fresh ones, they're going to be awfully quick at the end of this race. Lee?
And Cal, to your point, I just checked in with Barry Ryan, the engineer at the Pepsi Max Commodore team for Greg Murphy and Ollie Gavin. He said, you know what? We know that it's a stretch. We know it's a gamble to make those last 48. We're going to do it. We did it yesterday under similar conditions. Murph was slipping and sliding at the end, and we finished with less than a pound of fuel in the tank. We're going to go for it.
Well, not all the fuel is quite going in the race cars. Problems for Jonathan Webb and Jill DeFerrin.
What a man. Oh, that could have been so bad.
Well, the hose disconnected from the fueling probe. Fortunately, the fire crew is right there. Put some foam down to prevent that from being a problem, as we saw at Bathurst. And now they're going to get the car refueled with a little bit of drama.
But Mike, this caution changes as we say at home, this changes everything. Now, who's the gambler? Who's going to sit on the hot stove and pee ice water tonight?
Well, of course, Bargwanna, we know he's got another stop ahead of him. Davison, Whincup, Winterbottom, Holdsworth. But remember that each of these two-car teams has only one refueling rig and one set of wrenches. So Greg Lowndes having to wait on Jamie Whincup has meant a difference of nearly 10 positions now. The way they'll line up for the restart. So Lowndes is in a big hole and not sure if he's going to be able to dig himself out. Cal?
Here with three-time Indy 500 winner Elio Castroneves. Elio, you're back for your second trip here to the Gold Coast in one of these cars. I know you've been here many times before. Talk about the fun factor. I know right now it's serious game time. You're looking at the race. What can you do with Tim Slade now behind the wheel? You've been fast all weekend long. But talk about tonight. Talk about how relaxing it is to come down here at the end of your championship season.
Yeah, this place is always very good. I mean, I'm sure a lot of people missing to come over here, and but it is a place, you know, it is a place to be. People enjoy it very much. Today, unfortunately, we had a little bit of problem at the beginning of the race. The rear bar broke, so I'm running, downshift everything I can. It's been quite unique to drive those cars, but it's a lot of fun. Team is a great guy. This SPR Racing also gave me a very good support. Right now, we're just gonna see what's gonna happen, but certainly tonight's the night. Have fun. hopefully I'm back against America Monday, so let's see what happens.
Hey, thanks a lot. We're back to green, boys.
58 complete, 20 cars on the lead lap. A lot of side-by-side racing. Oh, a lot of bang there in the chicane as Bargwanna gets dumped out of the lead.
I would say that that was one of those, you're just not going fast enough, son. I'm going to have to knock you out of my way.
Mark Winterbottom put the move on Bargwanna, muscled him out of the way. Bargwanna ended up losing 3 spots. It was Davison, Whincup, Winterbottom passing Bargwanna.
It's time
now
to go.
Things settle down just a little bit.
It's time to go, Mike. It's just, you know, we're running out of laps, and track position is so critical. Can't let anybody hold you up. We've seen it in the race yesterday. Get out front, you can really put a gap on everybody else.
Barnes, he had his moment, but now he's the 4th place car. 20 on the lead lap, all the way back to Steven Johnson in the 17.
You really gotta feel for Lowndes, because had the championship in his hand, I mean, had it almost locked up. Had problems here this weekend, and today he's comes in the pit. He has to pit second to his teammate. Man, is he really taking a beating here today.
Well, a little more contact there. Bargwanna's he's in trouble. He's keeping pace, but there are cars behind that want to gain ground, and one of those, Caruso in the 34, right behind, all over him.
Murphy's back there too. He's on a tear. I think what these guys really don't want to have happen is they'd like to hold. They would hope that Davison could hold Whincup up a while, and maybe they can keep pace with him, because he's really been the guy to beat.
Now Alex Davison in the 4. That's the Irwin Tools car. He's going to get a pass-through penalty for a pit stop infringement. And yeah, here's this mess we spoke of. This is Will Davison taking the lead from Bargwanna. And as Bargwanna tries to get himself sorted out, Jamie Whincup goes through for second.
And Mike, you can see once you, just like at home, and it doesn't have anything to do with aero push. You don't hear these guys talk about that. It's all track position. Get out front, nobody in your way. You can cut some fast laps. And right now, Will Davison is definitely cutting some pretty good laps. He just ran a 12.3 to Whincup's 12.4, so he got a 10th on Whincup right now.
Caruso and Murphy both moved past the 14 of Bargwanna. Murphy didn't get the pass done. Caruso did. Now here's the 3 of D'Alberto in. This is a pass-through penalty, pit stop violation.
I'm very impressed with the V8 Supercar officiating. They run a tight ship, and these guys don't argue with the officials. They know the rules, they know the process, they know the procedures, they follow them to a T.
So Will Davison in front of Jamie Whincup, trying to give Ford the victory here after Holden scored yesterday. Let's find out more about the leader's fuel strategy. Cal?
The situation with Will Davison, remember, Mika Salo had that flight tire, so they were off strategy. Then he got him back in, and Will Davison behind the wheel a little bit later. So he's about 12 laps shy on fuel. He last pitted on lap 44, so that would take him to lap 90, a little bit of help from yellow, maybe 92, 93. So he needs a lot of help. They said we're going to pull a James Moffat from yesterday, throw some fresh rubber on this thing at the end of the race, but this team is going to win it. All the boys are very happy down here at FBR.
Well, that explains to me that why Whincup is not pushing. Right now, he's on a fuel strategy. He wants to save fuel. He knows that Davison can't make it, so he's just going to hold track position and wait for Davison to have a pit.
Well, he better look in his mirror, because he's got Winterbottom all over him for second place.
Winterbottom, that's their version of Kyle Busch. And when you look back and you see Winterbottom, you say, rah-rah.
61 of 102 laps complete on the Gold Coast of Australia. Australian V8 Supercar Series in the Armor All Gold Coast 600. Live on Speed.
A little bit on Winterbottom. You know, his nickname is Frosty, and he was a voice in Cars 2. He had a part in the movie Cars 2 as Frosty.
Right now he's third, 1.9 seconds behind Will Davison. And he's about 7/10 back of Jamie Whincup. And it looks like Whincup in the 88 on fuel conservation strategy is probably holding up this next group of cars just a bit. They got real close to him. Winterbottom got all over his rear bumper, and now it seems that they've backed off just a bit.
Yeah, I think they have 4 settings on their fuel. Uh-oh, this could be a problem right here. That's a pretty big piece of metal laying in the racetrack, right in the groove.
Is that Jacques or Pierre debris?
It's rubbish, I told you.
Oh, rubbish.
Yes.
Cal. Oh, excuse me, Lee.
Mike, it's a fascinating game to witness and observe down here. The engineers who are doing their math in regards to this fuel load and fuel conservation. James Courtney from Toll HRT, those guys are feeling quietly comfortable and confident. While he doesn't have great track position in 7th, they say he is good to go. Likewise, Rick Kelly, Greg Murphy, Lee Holdsworth, Mark Winterbottom and Jamie Whincup all came in on the same lap. Checking in with the Pepsi Max boys again, they said they would have 0.1 of a kilogram left in that fuel tank. Virtually nothing if the race stays like it is right now.
Or virtually just enough.
Right.
That's the way I always looked at it. You should tell Hammond all the time, look, don't tell me when we're going to run out. Just tell me, I'll make it. Just trust me, I'll make it.
There's that race from second on back, and you see that they've caught up Whincup, about half a dozen or more of them. But catching him's one thing, passing him quite another. Cal?
Lee Holdsworth runs 4th right now. His teammate, Frenchman Simon Pagenaud. Simon, I know it's been a big transition for you to these V8 supercars. The test on Wednesday, you look very disgruntled, but now you're suddenly on the pace. What's it been like?
Yeah, suddenly on the pace. I would say, I mean, it's great fun to be here. It's such a great event, and it's top-level competition, but touring cars. I've never driven a race in touring cars, so just taking a little bit of time to pick it up, but today was really good. I'm really happy, you know, I've got a lot of support from FXDV in the States, so it's great to represent them, and I've done a good job today, so I'm really proud of it.
Everyone's saving fuel here. It's a little bit tight in the fuel window to get to the checkered flag. Does the car have enough speed?
Yeah, Lee's got plenty of speed. He's a fantastic driver. I'm really glad to be his teammate. I think he can put it off, mate.
All right, mate, best of luck.
Thank you.
That's Lee Holdsworth. Simon Pagenaud talking about Holdsworth in the Fujitsu number 33. There's the Bundaberg number 61. Bundaberg is rum. A lot of hard liquor companies involved in this series, but there are no beer cars. I checked on that, and it seems that in past years, some of the beer companies in Australia have sponsored cars, but now they prefer to have groups of driver ambassadors, kind of like the Coke family of drivers in the U.S., as opposed to having individual race cars. Comes and goes.
You know what I like, Mike? I like the way they do these cars. You know, our cars are identified by those great big numbers on the doors. These guys, they got little bitty numbers. You can hardly tell what the number of the car is. They are identified by the team they're with, and the sponsor is huge up the side of the car. I'm sure the sponsors like it, and I think the fans do too.
And we were told by one of the team reps that individual driver souvenirs in this sport don't sell that well. People wear team colors and manufacturer colors, Ford blue, Holden red.
Yeah, it's such a rivalry here in this country with, you know, between the Holdens and the Fords. I like that too, and then of course the rivalries amongst the drivers and the teams is just amazing.
Well, in the Ford Holden battle right now, it's Ford out front. Will Davison, who is teamed with Mika Salo, getting well out there. Now 1.5 seconds up on the leading Holden, which is Jamie Whincup, which, as we've noticed, on fuel strategy. And you're riding with Frosty Winterbottom right behind Whincup for second and third. And behind them come Holdsworth, Murphy, Kelly, and Courtney. And Russell Engel, who has set a new race track record about 4 laps ago in the 39. 68 complete of 102 laps on the Gold Coast of Australia. You're watching the Australian V8 Supercars live on Speed. Here in Australia, Will Davison continues to lead and run quick laps. Jamie Whincup about a second back. Mark Winterbottom holds third. Holdsworth and Murphy the top 5. Greg Lowndes has gained 1 position since the restart and has finally moved up into the top 10. But the man who has impressed everyone and done a fantastic job in his first stints both Saturday and Sunday is with Cal.
He is. Sebastien Bourdais did a brilliant job here yesterday, winning the race with Jamie Whincup. You love this place, mate. You won here twice in the Champ Car days, but a little bit of pressure on right now with the fuel strategy.
Yeah, it wasn't easy today. I mean, definitely Andy was putting a lot of pressure on me for the first stint, and now it's turned into a fuel-saving race. So not easy. On top of that, they turn off the timing loops. So it's the joint call now on chicanes, and it's really going to be a tough race from now on.
Yeah, what are you seeing on the timing screen? We're really seeing the guys eating up those curbs, and it's really not registering on the monitors now. So these lap times are going to tumble.
Yeah, well, it's in the 11 flats now, so it's about 30-40 k's faster at the apexes, and the only limit now is to try and keep 2 wheels on the racetrack, which is the only rule that could apply from now on since they turned off the timing loops.
All right, mate, best of luck. Let's get down to Lee.
Cal, it's a real treat to have a current Formula One driver here on the Gold Coast. Tonio Liuzzi, how have you enjoyed your first run here on the streets of Surfers Paradise in a V8?
I really enjoy a lot since yesterday, and today has been really great racing. I'm just really pissed off for today because we were doing a really good race starting from 20th, and we were up to 9th, and then we got a drive-through penalty and an unacceptable one because I think they've been not able to handle the situation with the cone. I didn't cut any as much as they expected, and they gave me a strange drive-through. So we were still in P9, but we could have been around 6 or 7. But I have to say, I really enjoyed. The car was fast. The team did a really good job, and I was really enjoying.
It's been a tough weekend for him, Mike, but great to have a current Formula One driver in the field.
Yep, first time ever that it's happened in V8 supercars here at the Gold Coast. Let's interpret just a little what Sebastien Bourdais was talking about. We told you when the day started, as yesterday, that through the chicanes there were timing loops set up not to measure time but to measure car position to make sure the cars stayed on the race course and didn't have 4 wheels over the curb. Those loops have been torn up by the cars running over them with a high turn angle, have just taken them up off the surface, so they can't count the hops. Now they have stewards stationed in that location to determine whether or not your jumping of the curbs is deliberate and whether you get a flag or get a drive-through penalty.
Yeah, well, we see down in the first chicane down there, the guys are just pretty much straightening that thing out now. And like Sebastien said, the lap times have picked up almost a second over what they were when they were having to use the hops. So, yeah, it's definitely changed the race and the way you're racing the track. But, Mike, right now we've got the same 3 guys at the front of the field that we had at the end of the race yesterday. And the Fords are looking pretty good here this weekend. They were 2nd and 3rd yesterday, and here they are leading with another car 3rd. So, great rivalry, a lot of fun.
The track record gets lowered even further. Both Engel, Jamie Whincup, and Owen have bettered the previous track record, and then, of course, that's due to the straightening of the chicanes.
Yeah, if you don't have to go around the corner, you just go straight. You're going to pick up some speed.
So you're looking back from Whincup, and you see his speed in RPM. Cabin, that's cockpit temperature, 119 degrees Fahrenheit.
Now, these guys do run it. They have a cool suit. They have a vest that they actually circulate cold water through. These cars are really hot, and again, the exertion it takes on these road courses is very physical.
Winterbottom has a look to the outside, has a bumper, a little bit of contact, a little casual contact there. Tough place to try to pass, though.
I'm just not sure how aggressive at Whincup's being right now. I think he's got that thing leaned back, and the drivers told me that really knocks the power out of these engines when you go to full lean.
Winterbottom pressuring hard on Whincup. This for 2nd place.
This one, it takes a lot of discipline, Mike. Turn that thing back, easy on the throttle, try not to use any fuel unnecessarily, and still be competitive, run competitive lap times. It takes a lot of discipline.
Now they have moved away from Greg Murphy by nearly 3 seconds in this battle for 2nd place. The Vodafone Holden against the Orcon Steel Ford. There is Sebastien Bourdais having a word with one of the series officials.
I wouldn't be comfortable if I was having a conversation with one of the series officials right now. With the rules the way they are right now, with kind of being reinterpreted as we go along here, you know, Jamie's got to be careful not to get some sort of violation hopping over those curbs.
So Will Davison just ran a lap of 1:11.3. That's right down close onto the track record as he tries to extend his advantage over Jamie Whincup. It's now 1.5 seconds as Whincup looks in his mirror, and there's Winterbottom racing him hard for second place. Will Davison out front in the Ford, 77 laps complete, 25 to go. Jamie Whincup's holding in second, and 2009 winner of this race, Mark Winterbottom, all over Whincup as they continue that battle for second place. Greg Murphy 4 seconds off the lead. Lee Holdsworth 5.5 back. Rick Kelly 6.5 behind. Then Courtney, Ingle, Lowndes, and Owen are the top 10. You're riding on the third place car.
One of the things I noticed about Whincup's car yesterday, Mike, was when they were having to stay off the curbs, his car really had a nice flow to it. He was able to stay off the curbs and make the car really turn well. I believe straightening these turns out and really allowing these guys to almost make a straight line has really hurt his setup and helped some of the other guys.
Coulthard is in. Lee.
And Mike just spoke with Pat Long here at the Bundaberg Racing team. He said this is purely a strategy call. We're stuck there in 10th position. We're just going to roll the dice. We may as well hope for a late race caution. We've got fresh tires and a gas tank full of fuel.
Okay, now the curbs have been an issue all day. Right now, they've gone back to having, I believe, an official over there watching for violations as opposed to the very objective way of measuring it through the transponder. Cal?
Yeah, Mike, I'm down here with Damien White, who's the operations manager for V8 Supercars. Damien, there's a lot of consternation up and down pit lane. Saw Seb Bourdais come down, the FPR team, talking to you. What is the ruling now on this curb cutting?
Well, the ruling hasn't changed, Calvin, and you know, that's what I love about V8 Supercars. The passion of these teams is coming through now, and Bourdais, who's been here for 2 days, is already feeling the passion. The rule is, if there's an electronic breach and you get 6 of them, you'll come through the pit lane. The race control also reserves the right to watch it on the monitors. If they feel there's a breach or significant multiple breaches, they can give that team a bad sportsmanship flag. Thereafter, they can also give them a pit lane penalty.
Will the teams be seeing there's a monitor, a click or a counter on their monitors here in the pit garages? If there's a visible breach, as in one of the judges see it, will we see it on the screens to monitor this?
Look, there's some suggestion up and down pit lane at the moment that the electronic system is a little bit faulty at the moment. I'm not going to comment on that because I'm not up there and I can't see what's going on, but we did reinforce this morning with the teams that the race control also reserves the right visually on the monitors up there that if they feel there's excessive breaches, they can issue the penalty.
All right, mate, thanks for the input.
No problem.
Thanks, Cal. Shane Van Gisbergen, you saw make a pit stop there. He pitted out of 10th place and rejoins the race in 20th, still on the lead lap.
I just got to tell you, as a driver, I would be totally confused about the curb hopping right now because I don't see it on my monitor. My team can't tell me if I have violations. That's a bit of a gray area, I
think. 22 laps to go in race 22 of this season.
But you know, I like that coming in and getting out of sync right now and taking a chance that we may have a late safety car. That could really pay off. You have fuel, tires, you'd be ahead of the field. Might not be a bad gamble if you don't have any other way to win this thing. You might be able to steal it somehow.
Well, we see it in Cup, short pitting.
Sure.
There are a couple of crew chiefs that specialize in that. And
well,
that's what we're seeing here today.
On a road course, it could really pay off because you could end up with really good track position here late in the race.
Riding with Tony D'Alberto, running in 18th place for Wilson Security. Here's a look at race control. They have access, much as the NASCAR officials do, to all the camera views around the course, plus all of the communication back and forth with that the teams have with you.
The screen on the bottom left of your television there is a really neat deal. It's a track map, and it has every car number, and you follow that car, every car in the field around the racetrack, and you know right exactly where everybody is in the field. I like that a lot. It's cool.
Second place, here we go. Oh, I thought Winterbottom had an inside move there, Darrell.
He's wearing him out, I can tell you that right now. Whincup's got his hands full. I still just think it's fuel conservation, down on power, and Jamie's really having to drive hard to keep Winterbottom behind him.
Another look.
Yikes!
Not quite there.
Boy, when you're the points leader, that's a dicey move, cutting down in front of somebody at that point.
Now, we speculated at Bathurst that the last lap pass possibility might Greg Lowndes have backed off because he suddenly was big picture racing rather than end up in the catch fence. Second place would have been okay.
Well, it paid off for him, that's for sure, because you know, he comes here and he won yesterday. He's now the points leader. He is definitely thinking big picture, and he's thinking championship right now.
If that's the case, Darrell, why doesn't he let Winterbottom go?
Well, I think he figures that if it comes down to the end of the race, he doesn't want to have to try to pass him back. I think he figures that Winterbottom's on the same strategy he's on, stretch to fuel. He wants to hold him back because he knows Will Davison's going to, the 6 car is going to have to pit.
Wanted to the inside, making a pass on one of the Jack Daniels cars. Was that not Kelly? A little more official conversation going on with the Vodafone team. So we'll have one more look at Mark Winterbottom trying to make the pass on Whincup for second place. And things heat up just a bit. He had the nose inside. Just not enough of it. 20 laps to go in Australia. Less than 20 laps to go. Here's where Jamie Whincup on the left got the lead from his teammate Greg Lowndes, who has not had a tremendous day. A lot of contact there with one of the Fujitsu cars hard into the fence. And Lowndes' car just not working all that well. Then this. Gianni Morbidelli, one of the international guest drivers, trying to get his car turned around right into the path of Jason Bright. And Davison takes the lead by muscling up Jason Bargwanna, who has just made a pit stop. And we rejoin live action with 17 laps to go, and the race leader, Will Davison, has just told his team it feels like the right front tire is delaminating. So Davison has really been pushing hard, trying to get away from Jamie Whincup, and Darrell, his tires may have paid the price.
Well, he's got a lot of laps on him, Mike. I mean, he's going to have to come on pit road here very shortly for fuel anyway. So he's abused that car as much as he possibly could, trying to gap everybody, but it's not working for him. I think he's just used up his stuff. He's in the pits now.
So Will Davison pits out of the lead. Cal?
42 laps on these tires. That has really tortured these guys. I'm looking at the right front now. It doesn't look too bad, guys, but he was certainly feeling a loss of grip. The problem from him is just coming down pit lane cost you 36 seconds. He's probably stopped for about 6. He's going to drop all the way down to about 15th, 16th spot. Let's get down to Lee.
And Cal, interesting to hear some of the engineers across the teams at my end of the lane instructing their drivers of how many laps to go. You're good on warnings, and DW, the instruction is do whatever you need to do over those curves to make up time.
Yippee! Turn me loose, let me go.
Will Davison re-enters the race just ahead of his brother. He is in 14th place. Alex 15th right now, still on the lead lap, as are the first 20 cars.
Did Cal say he went to 42 laps on that set of tires?
Yeah.
That's really pushing it. No wonder his tires are coming apart.
So Jonathan Webb there just ahead of Lowndes with David Reynolds in the 16, the red Stratco car. That's the battle we're watching. And at the front of that pack, Todd Kelly in the number 7 Jack Daniels machine.
I tell you what, if I were a driver and they told me to do what I needed to do, that may give me a lot of options.
And Lowndes gives up another spot. Reynolds works his way past the 888.
Poor old Lowndes just had a bad weekend.
Horrible. Yep,
Take
good
that.
pass.
Yeah, he likes that.
That's right. And this is this a replay on the stop?
Yeah.
Yeah, replay on the stop by the then leading car of Will Davis.
I just, you know, you asked me about we kept trying to hold him Winterbottom off, and it's really easier to keep him behind me right now than if he should get by me and I'd have to try to pass him back. I think he's just playing a little defense right now. Just keep him back there. Don't want to have to race him if I don't have to, or don't want to have to pass him.
Looks like they're going to bring Lowndes in. 14 laps to go. Winterbottom, half a second separates them, and Lowndes is in the pit lane. Greg Lowndes, after a difficult day. Andy Prio with a great first stint, and then things seem to come undone, Cal.
Yeah, they did, and I just spoke to Andy Bryde with Craig coming down pit lane. He said everyone's just taking advantage of these curbs. That's why Craig is losing spots. Spoke to Adrian Burgess about these stops. He said we need a splash of fuel. We're going to put some fresh rubber on and just split the strategy here to the checkered flag. So they got Whincup out there at the front of the pack, and now Craig has got fresh rubber. You see a little bit of damage there in that left rear corner.
Big battle here. Jonathan Webb, Todd Kelly. This is for 9th place.
What you got to do, if you're up here in the front right now, what you're hoping for is no full course yellows. That would absolutely ruin your strategy. And some of these guys that have had to come into pits and get tires on now and fuel, they would be sitting in a catbird seat.
That lap counter indicates the lap we're working, not the number of laps completed. And that's caused a little confusion. So we're working lap 90. We've completed 89. Riding the Delrota.
Mike, you know, it's pretty amazing to me. These cars are really, really good. They ran these things yesterday, 300 kilometers here, and here they are today, back out here hammering away again. And the cars have really held up well on a tight, rough track like this, hopping the curbs the way they have, and the cars are just maintained all the way through.
So if you're Mark Winterbottom in that blue and yellow second place car, do you just keep relentlessly applying the pressure, or is there some point where you kind of got to let it breathe so you'll have something to work with on this on the last couple laps should it come to that?
I think Winterbottom is probably telling Whincup right now, hey, you're the points leader, you know, and I'm really not in contention at this time. Maybe a tap or two would get his attention.
90 complete right here. Cal?
Just checked in with Roland Dane, team principal with the 88 and the AAA cars, and he said we should be good on fuel now. It seems like you're right, Daryl. They have been saving fuel, and that's why he's cut his pace a little bit. It's still awfully tight, but they're splitting their strategy by pitting Lowndes and leaving Jamie out there, and obviously he has the championship lead on the line at this time.
Well, that having to bring those two cars in together on that last caution that we had. I mean, when Whincup was in the lead, he got in the pit, he got out in the lead, or near the front. Poor old Lowndes, he had to sit there. He came back out. Whoa, there's almost contact right there with the race leaders. Lowndes came back out in 10th or 12th place and just never could work his way back up in the front.
Sebastian Bourdais, both Saturday and Sunday, a flawless first stint to give Jamie Whincup the opportunity to win as he did yesterday. And there's back to the pits of the only Ford in the top 5. That's Mark Winterbottom there in second place. And there is the gap after 90 laps of racing. Which for a street circuit, Daryl, that's pretty remarkable. We should be this close for the lead.
It really is. And of course, you know, the cars, the brake pads are getting worn, the tires are worn, you're on low fuel, grip is a premium right now, hard to come by. You got your hands full as a driver, and you got somebody breathing down your neck like Winterbottom is on Whincup. This is as tough as it gets right here.
All right, let's get down to the Ford Performance Racing Garage.
Well, we heard from the Triple Eight team, and Roland Dane, he may be gambling here, but he's saying they're good on fuel. Tim Edwards, what's the story with Frosty, who's all over Whincup right now?
I think he's having a bit of fun out there, actually. I think, you know, he's got the legs on Jamie. I'm not sure whether Jamie's sort of conserving fuel or what, but yeah, I mean, Frosty's just looking for a way past at the moment.
Certainly Will has a lot of pace. He led the race there. He got a bit off strategy with Micker's puncher earlier in the event. We saw Moffat storm through the field yesterday. Does Will have the ability to do the same?
Absolutely, but
obviously it's reliant on a safety car, and if it comes, obviously it potentially will impact our car in second place at the moment. So it's a bit of a, do we want a safety car or not? Certainly it's healthy having sort of a 4-second gap behind us at the moment to third place, so that Frosty can focus on the car in front of him.
There's a double-edged sword if we see that safety and caution period. Lee?
Cal, it's really impressive watching the extremely disciplined style of driving from guys like Greg Murphy and Lee Holdsworth and Rick Kelly, who have actually helped their fuel position in the last, say, 10 or 12 laps. They were looking dire, like running out. There seems to be, on their calculations, a little bit more fuel in the tank right now. It's still going to be a thriller, though, Mike.
I think so.
It always amazes me how they can't possibly go that far. There's no way you can go that far.
Until they do.
And sometimes when you have to do it, all of a sudden, miraculously, things work out.
For more than 20 laps, Whincup and Winterbottom have been this close. They battled for second, and now they're fighting for the lead. Welcome back to the Gold Coast, where with 8 laps to go, Frosty Winterbottom in blue has iced Jamie Whincup for the lead.
Yeah, you'll watch Whincup. He gets right down here. He comes to the hairpin. He locks up. He had a little lockup. Brake pads might be getting a little worn, pedal a little long. Open the door. Winterbottom to the lead and pulling away.
From Whincup.
I really think Whincup had some real issues getting into that corner.
Pack Live, 7 to go. Winterbottom trying to pull away from Whincup, Holdsworth, Murphy, and Rick Kelly.
Wait, Mike, you and I were saying the only way Winterbottom's going to get by, he's going to have to move him. You know who else thought that? Was probably thinking the same thing? Whincup.
Right. Good scrap here for 8th place. The 19 of Jonathan Webb, trying to hold back Rusty Engel, Todd Kelly, David Reynolds.
Some real strategies being played out right here at the end of this race on the fuel, tires, and everything else.
It's 49 Steve Owen, the VIP pet food car that he shares with Boris Said. In 7th place.
Yeah, we got Winterbottom leading, Whincup, Holdsworth, Murphy, and Kelly, top 5 right now. Courtney in the 6, Owen, Webb, Engel, and Kelly, top 10.
6 to go. That pit stop Davison had to make out of the lead, and he's no longer a factor at all. He's back in 18th place. He's still running competitive times, but that strategy just seems to have gone awry.
Yeah, well, he was hoping for a safety car. That's some of those guys that came in, took tires and fuel, only hope they had the safety car.
Now here's Lee Holdsworth on the Valvoline Fujitsu Holden. He's the 3rd place car. He's 4.8 seconds back of the leader, but he has 2 seconds on Murphy, so he's kind of got his own safe little zone there. Lee?
Mike, think about the significance of this for Ford Performance Racing's Mark Winterbottom. It's been Van Gisbergen who's stolen the headlines for Ford this year. This would be magical for Frosty to get his first win in 2011. He's had 4 third placings. This could be the first time on the top of the podium today. Really special for he and Ford.
And today the Giz hasn't hardly been in the top 10. He's right now in 16th place as we watch Greg Murphy, who is the 4th place car. 7.5 off the lead.
Crew just holding their breath, hoping that they can make these last 7 laps here. 5 laps. 5 to go. It's a tight little group right here. There could be a safety car before this thing ends, as these guys get after each other.
Be a little drama here. Rick Kelly is leading this group. They're 11 seconds back of the lead, but they're all pretty much nose to tail from 5th through 10th place.
Well, tires are worn, brakes are worn, and guys are a little impatient right now. Anything can happen at this point.
It's Webb, the 19.
You get a run on a guy now, and you just about got to take it. If you get a nose in there, you got to go.
44 laps on their tires and 4 to go.
Yeah, that's a lot of laps. As we saw earlier there, they went 42 and they were laminated, so that's a lot of laps put on these soft tires.
4 to go for the leader, Mark Winterbottom. He has gapped Whincup by 1.1 seconds. Holdsworth another 4 back. Murphy 8 off the lead, and then from Rick Kelly on back, that big pack of 6 cars from 5th on back.
Ford's had good performance this weekend. They had they had good finishes yesterday, and I really think Whincup kind of went through his mind what had been going through ours. Is it worth the risk of this guy wearing my back bumper out? What if he turns me around accidentally? There could go my point lead. He's got Lowndes way back there out of contention, so I think he just made a smart move when he let Winterbottom get by.
Todd Kelly moves up a spot or 2, gets past the 19.
I think the other thing, Whincup, he overdrove the chicane, locked up a little bit, and when he did, I think that's when he had a wake-up call. He said, man, I could mess up here and lose the race in second place and return and the points. So I think he really made a good decision.
Kelly brothers well placed in that group, now 5th and 9th, with Todd moving up past Jonathan Webb. So both headed for a top 10 finish. And the Murph will get a top 5, might not get on the podium, but
still a good day.
4th.
Good day for him.
Yep. Here comes Todd Kelly looking on Engel. Had the position, but not the launch off the corner.
Just need a little more grip up off that corner. Probably spun the tires a little bit and couldn't make the pass.
Russell Engel in red and yellow. Todd Kelly, like his brother Rick, in the black and white of Jack Daniels.
These engines
Whoa, there was a little bit of contact. Yes, sir.
These engines have a lot of grunt, Mike, and so when they put the power down, you really got to, and the tire, whoa, man, they're banging each other pretty good right here. And that's what I was telling you, the end of this race, anything can happen.
3 to go.
This is when you put it all on the line. If you got it, use it. You heard them say.
Now that battle has even brought 12th place David Reynolds right up into him. Little bump there on Todd Kelly by Jonathan Webb, the 19.
One thing I've noticed about these guys, Mike, they can rough each other up pretty well. The cars are durable, they can take it, and they don't just knock each other out of the way. They lean on each other, but they don't knock you out of the way.
And here comes Tim Slade in the 47, teamed with Castroneves, trying to fight his way into the top 10 before it's over. The blue and silver car.
Very aggressive right here at the end of the day. And this racetrack is so tight that about the only way you can get by somebody is you have got to force your way by.
I'll tell you what, a great couple of races that we've been able to bring to you live on Speed. 2 very different circuits. A mountain course, a street circuit. But the action has been tremendous. Some of the best road racing I've ever seen.
Oh, these guys put on a whale of a show. I've watched them all through the year. I knew we were going to be doing these races. I've been watching them, and they are thrilling to watch, particularly when it gets down to the end like this, when they just let it all hang out.
1 lap to go for Mark Winterbottom and Jamie Whincup. Holdsworth 4 seconds back all by himself. Murphy safe in 4th. Boy, 5th on back, it's a scrap. There's Rick Kelly, the black 15. Here's Winterbottom, your leader. Pretty safe margin now, 2 seconds.
Yeah, I don't think there's any worry for him. I just don't think he's got to worry about no mistakes. Don't run out of fuel and bring her home. Nice shot right here.
Good, mate. Fuel is good, no problem.
Fuel is good, no problem.
That's what you want to hear.
Stop it, mate. Don't worry about that. I ain't stopping.
That's the driver. Let her go. If it runs out, I don't care. This is going to be a really big win for Winterbottom. It's a really nice win for him. Oh, Frosty.
Yep, the Orcon Steel Ford is going to make it around.
Here he comes.
And for the second time in 2 years, the Sunday winner at Gold Coast in V8 Supercars is Mark Winterbottom. Jamie Whincup expands his point lead with 2nd place. Lee Holdsworth is 3rd. Greg Murphy 4th. And Rick Kelly holds back Courtney, Owen, Ingle, and Todd Kelly. What a finish.
On October 30th, the
You're looking at Parc Fermé. That's where the 3 top finishing cars are brought and held to the attention of the officials, and the drivers will ascend the podium to be honored today. Mark Winterbottom, he worked hard on Jamie Whincup for over 30 laps, first for second place, and then when Alex Davison made his pit stop, it was for the lead. He never ever let up, and he's rewarded with a big win.
Yeah, I mean, he was relentless on Winterbottom, and I think Winterbottom probably made that one little mistake getting down in one of the chicanes there, locked up a little bit. He saw that he couldn't hold him off any longer, and Winterbottom has just drove a tremendous race.
All right, let's hear from the runner-up, Cal.
Jamie, I know you wanted the win, mate, and Mark was really putting the pressure on there. Was championship hard in the back of your head?
Yeah, hey, it was, but hey, we went hard today, and those boys produced a really good car, and Mark drove well, so we'll cop second today. All in all, fantastic weekend for me and Seb.
Absolutely, and Sebastian Bourdais. Seb, I know it's been heavy hearts all the way around in the motor racing fraternity this week, but must be nice to get a solid result here today, the win yesterday, and pick up the Dan Weldon Memorial Trophy for you.
Yeah, it was really tough out there all weekend, you know. But you know, we try and put on a good show for Dan and for the event, and you know, life goes on. But it was a bit tough this weekend, I have to say.
Thanks, Seb. Let's move to Lee.
Cal here with the winners, Richard Lyons and Mark Winterbottom. Renee, his wife, and little Oliver there. Mate, that one was special. Well done.
Yeah, thank you. Really good to do it on the soft tyre as well is even better. But first win of the year, we thought we might go through without winning, and that was a good race. It had everything. Bollard's gone, dived down the inside, no brakes, had it all. But yeah, great to do it. Great to do it with Richard as well. We've worked well together all week and loved every moment of it. So a good way to celebrate tonight.
And Darrell Waltrip was saying if you were going to make that pass, if you were going to get by Jamie, you were going to have to move him over. But in the end, you didn't.
Oh, I was going to. If he didn't get out of the way, I was going to. So he had a couple of goes, and 3 strikes are out. So I dived up the inside, and if he turned in, I was there. I wasn't going to let that one go.
And Richard, it's been terrific to have you in V8 Supercars over the years at Bathurst and here in Australia in general. No big full-time drives at the moment for you, so how significant is this victory?
Well, you know, at the end of the year, you know, getting a win is just amazing. It's a nice way, you know, to present yourself to other teams, and, you know, I'd love to come here and do it full-time. Such an awesome championship, just great drivers, great teams. It's just fantastic, and, you know, what can I say? I'm just thrilled to be a winner here.
Super day for Ford. Well done, boys.
Yes, the Oricon Steel team will ascend the podium and be honored as today's champions of the Gold Coast 600. Frosty Winterbottom, Jamie Whincup, Lee Holdsworth, great driver, coming home third. Greg Murphy held on to the promise of the weekend. Fourth, both Kelly brothers in the top 10. Courtney 6th, Owen 7th, Rusty Ingle 8th. And Tim Slade with Castroneves finishing in the top 10. But Darrell, what continues to just thrill me about this is how close and how competitive this racing is, lap after lap after lap on these road courses.
Well, we just saw it with the Winterbottom, you know, working on Whincup there. I mean, they race that way all the time. You know, it was 620 miles at Bathurst, and they came down to the closest finish in the history of the series. And today, I mean, 2 guys really working hard on each other. But I thought Whincup made a good decision, because you heard what Winterbottom said. I was going to move him.
What do we call that? Big picture racing?
That's right. He knew it too.
First win of the year for Frosty Winterbottom, and he picks up a big win for Ford. Holden victorious yesterday. You know, I kind of like this format where you run 300 kilometers Saturday, 300 Sunday with the same cars and with the same drivers.
Yeah, I do too. And what a great day for Sebastian to get the Dan Weldon Trophy. And what a great tribute to Dan. And I know everybody back home is sad, and there's been a lot of sadness through the garage area here this weekend too. He was supposed to be here, and we dearly, dearly miss him not being a part of the show.
I think everyone in the memorial service yesterday, both here and in the United States, a great deal of thought and a great deal of concern for his family. And I'm trying to recall a quote that my wife sent me from the service in Tampa, something about Dan Weldon. Got so much out of life because he had everything that you'd want in life, but that you couldn't buy. and he is missed. A great weekend of racing here in Australia. A great trip back for the second time in 2 weeks. We've kind of seen it from one end to the other, from Bathurst to the Gold Coast. It's a thrilling series, and can't wait till it comes to America in 2 years.
May I suggest that next year, if we do this, we just come over here and stay a couple of weeks? I mean, we're going to be traveling about 25,000, 30,000 miles over the last couple of weeks. So good luck to everybody in Talladega tomorrow, especially my brother in the retro car. Go get them, bro. And Mark Martin, congratulations on the pole.
Well, this has been a thrill, and it's definitely worth the trip, both over and back and over and back. For Calvin Fish, for Lee Diffie, for Darrell Waltrip, I'm Mike Joy. Thanks for joining us on Speed for our second great live presentation of the Australian V8 Supercars.
Good day, mate.